Stream. If you're looking at us, it's just weird because we're just sitting here.
We're just like staring into the zone,
Yep.
the Zoom's drone zone.
All right, it's stream.
Michael Schwartz, hi!
And you're on, Sasha.
Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to the second Oscar game, starring all of your wonderful and most favorite independent Oscar sites online. We're struggling to survive during COVID-19. I don't know about you, but like we're all thinking maybe our careers are over, but it doesn't matter because we're having a great time anyway. So just kidding. No, it's great. We're happy. We're doing one. None of us are like dead. We're just, you know, it's great. It really is great. So we have a.
Is it great?
It's so great.
Tell us how you
like
really
the
feel.
levels of great. It's like it could be here, but it's like way up here. It's so high into the great zone. Okay, so here's the deal. Yes, we have a new member joining us. It's Michael Schwartz. Hi, Michael.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
And we're missing Jazz, our dear Jazz, and we're missing Clarence Moy, two of our players. So, but we only have one new one. That's Michael Schwartz, who is very good at Oscar trivia. So beware. Oh, and Michael Gray is also here. He was going to be here last time.
Finally.
Hi, Michael.
Hi.
Yay.
All right. So my question for everybody is: do you want to do quick intros and check-ins, or do you want to just get right to the game?
In intros, people may be watching this for the first time.
Okay. All right, so my name is Sasha Stone. I run the website AwardsDaily.com, which used to be OscarWatch.com before the Academy sued me and forced me to change the name. I've been running it for almost 20 years, and it's nuts. And over to you, Clayton.
My name's Clayton Davis. I'm the editor-in-chief and owner of AwardsCircuit.com. I've been in the Oscar game officially under that umbrella for 12 years. Wrote for a few years before that. Admired Sasha, Nathaniel, and Dave Poland, and all the OGs on here. Just having a good time. Talking to you from the rainy East Coast, where everything is dark and gloomy right now, but happy.
Aww.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So Joey, let's hear from you.
Hi, I'm Joey Moser. I write for AwardsDaily, mainly on the TV side with other people here that I'm probably not pointing to correctly. And yeah, mainly all the people that are on the chat are the reason why I'm so obsessed with the Oscars. So I'm excited. And I whine again. So yay.
Okay, and Matt. I'm just following my own grid. So Matt is next.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt Neglia. I am the owner, editor-in-chief of nextbestpicture.com. And yeah, I am so happy to be back again hosting this event along with Sasha and everybody else here. I still got to pinch myself that I can consider people in this room friends, considering I looked up to the OGs, as Clayton mentioned before. And it's really, really, really awesome that we could come together and do this. I'm really, really excited for all of our fans out there that are watching us. So thank you, Sasha, for organizing it.
Hey, it's fun, right? And Miss Megan, you're next.
Hi, I'm Megan McLaughlin. I'm co-editor of the TV section of AwardsDaily, and I'm so happy to be here. I had so much fun last time, so hope I am able to answer at least one thing right. So.
And Erik Anderson.
I'm Erik Anderson, editor-in-chief and owner of AwardsWatch. My husbands Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal are joining me today. And yeah, let's have some fun.
And Nathaniel is the more like, I think I would call him like the more sophisticated member of our tribe today. He is to me like very sort of like high class and very knowledgeable.
The bridesmaids.
You have not been at Milford with Nathaniel Rogers.
Other than the bridesmaids.
It's the glasses. They made me
sitting in the sink right now.
I run the film experience and I have for many years. Still love the Oscars. That's all.
Michael Schwartz, it's so nice to see you.
Yes, thank you again for having me. I'm a contributor at Next Best Picture, co-founder along with Matt Neglia and Will Mavity, who's also here. Going on almost 4 years now. We love talking about the Oscars, the Emmys, the Tonys, film news, everything within that whole realm, and excited to be doing some Oscar trivia tonight.
Yes. Shadon.
Hi, everybody. I'm the newest member of Sasha's crew, which is super exciting. I was thinking the other day that I finally have people to like geek out with about award stuff because I've been geeking out on my own for so long. So I'm very excited to have people to text and annoy and message and freak out about nominations.
Yes. And Jalal.
Hi, my name is Jalal. I am a member of AwardsDaily, going on 4 years now.
Bring your mouthpiece closer to your mouth.
Can you not hear me? Oh,
Yeah,
can you hear me
now
now?
again.
Sorry, you guys. My name is Jalal. I've been a member of AwardsDaily for 4 years, and that's me.
And Marshall.
I am Marshall Flores. I am a deputy editor at AwardsDaily.com. That basically means I'm Sasha's glorified research assistant. Anytime she wants to talk about stats or history in her posts, I help her out with that. And I'm also a one-time Jeopardy champion. And this time around, I have submitted a batch of Oscar trivia questions for this group. So we'll be seeing those, how you guys do with those shortly. So.
Yikes. Okay, Will, you're up.
Hi, I'm Will Mavity. Like Michael said, Matt, him and I co-founded Next Best Picture together, and I've been working for Matt for almost the last 4 years, and I've been an active part of Film Twitter, always inspired by Sasha and Clayton and Erik. So it's good to be back, and looking forward to more trivia.
Okay, that's really nice meeting you. So somebody, if anybody has a TV on in the background or anything, like the best way to deal with that is just to hit your mute button. There's a mute button on the bottom, and that will silence, like.
I also have control of your mutes too, so I might just mute you on.
So if there's noise or if my dogs bark, I'll have to mute. If you have to leave to go to the bathroom or whatever, like you can just leave. Or some people
leave your audio on because it'll be hilarious.
We're not allowed to
leave. No, don't. I would never. My God.
It's just like, all right, who won Best Picture in 1960?
So how long has that pee been going on? Like that's like 5 minutes, really. Okay, and Mark Johnson, you're up.
Hey, I'm Mark Johnson. I contribute to the award circuit for the past 9 years, I think now.
Too long.
Yeah, probably too long for Clayton's health, but yeah, glad to be back. Thanks.
Oh, and David Poland, the OG.
The oldest OG. You remember what? See, some of you may not be old enough to remember. Like, could the caller turn down their radio? It was like classic Larry King.
Yeah.
The echo on the radio. I am indeed old and G, and been doing Movie City News and roughcut.com before it, and film festivals, ran the Miami Film Festival for a while, and am less trivia oriented than everybody else. I think I'm a little more concerned about the state of the industry probably, but I still love what everybody's doing and everybody's still actually excited. And I spend time worrying with Sasha about whether anybody has a job next year. So
good Lord.
So
we're going to ask you about that later.
Yeah, I've been assured everything's okay. So we should just go back on with trivia.
All right, Michael Gray.
I'm Michael Gray, and I love the Oscars, and I'm actually sitting on a beach with Maddie Walker. With Matty Walker. So somewhere in the Caribbean. So I'm happy to join you guys.
Matty Walker has changed.
Maddie Walker, yes.
Is Maddie Walker, in case you guys don't know, is the main character in Body Heat, the sociopath who totally takes advantage of poor William Hurt. And Michael and I both have been watching that movie for like 30 years, and we know every single line to it. And Michael and I have been friends for 30 years. He used to be my boss at the video store in the 80s. In the Venice days, and Body Heat was one of the movies that have become in our sort of movies that we watch together. And that's one, and Carrie is one, and The Thing is one.
Michael, was she a good or a bad employee?
I just want to say that I just rewatched.
I was a terrible employee. I was like always late, man. Like we had to rewind the videotapes when they came in. We had to rewind them. And Michael would always get really mad that we didn't rewind them. He's like, Who didn't rewind RoboCop?
I also worked at a video store, and I also had to do those things. Only I could not watch Body Heat at my video store because it was a very Christian conservative video store. So I could only play things that were PG or less on the TV.
Oh
I
my
was a manager. I was a
So
manager
Jaws
of,
is
an
perfect.
independent video store, and I played whatever the fuck I wanted.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I never
recently
heard
had
of a
a chat-
Christian video store.
I had
It
a
was
chat with
Utah,
Darcy Carden.
college, Utah.
Oh,
I was talking
wow.
to
The
Darcy
young
Carden
people who are
from,
like, "What's a video store?"
I
Right.
love video stores. I miss them so much.
I miss them so
them
much. I miss
Hey,
them so
Me
much.
too.
Fun
Those
body
were the
heat
days,
fact.
that's for sure. They were the days.
I had gone to a vacation town, you know, when I used to go to the Santa Barbara Film Festival, and Santa Barbara actually still has a working video store, and you can go and rent videos. It's like, what do you play them on? Actually, I think they're probably DVDs, not actual videos.
Yeah, that's what we have
But,
here in suburban Philadelphia. They have one as like a novelty. I think people, of course, do on demand still, but they could still go to the store if they want to check things out.
Well,
the
Vidiot's is still trying to
VHS are all
reopen in Eagle Rock.
demagnetizing.
Vidiot
wait, what?
will have VHS if they ever reopen in Eagle Rock.
Yeah.
But they're all demagnetizing. Like, so eventually, within probably the next 5 to 10 years, most
Yeah,
of the
it's gonna
VHS
be a
tapes
decade.
won't play.
yeah.
No
it's just-
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
sad.
Just real quick, just before we get started, just hello to the people that are in the live chat. Moritz Schroeder from Germany, Aisha Jones from Anchorage, Alaska, and Stephen Adams from Sydney, Australia, Nicholas Angie from Massachusetts, everyone that's from around the world. So thanks for watching.
That's wonderful. I mean, I guess we should beam out our link to the social networks if we want people to watch, right? If we don't, then we can just
I mean,
stick
yeah,
with
I
it.
shared it pretty much everywhere. I put it in our group email
All right,
too.
I will.
Yeah.
I tweeted
I'll
it
do
out
that.
as well.
Yeah. So did I.
So last time Erik Anderson and I just got way too drunk. So we're gonna try like.
But I still did really well. I don't know how.
No, you did. Can someone tweet me
Did
the
you do
link?
well?
Didn't I? I thought I tied like to win.
Yeah, I think you did.
That's what you told me.
Yeah, I think it was Eric,
That's what they
Clayton,
told
and
me.
It was
Will.
crazy.
Can somebody
Something.
like tweet me the link
I don't
because I'm
remember.
just buried in some
I think
political
Matt,
things.
I think Matt tagged
Notifications.
you on Twitter.
Yeah.
I know, but my
Okay.
thing is my mentions have been like taken over by this Michael Moore
Oh,
tweet that somehow.
excuse me. Dr. Stone. Too
So
much
I
in the
can't
feed.
find your. You know what? I'll just look on your page. Anyway,
Wait, what's the Michael
you
Moore
might need
thing?
Yeah, what's the Michael Moore?
Yeah, what's that?
The Michael Moore.
Oh wow, are we
it's
really
such a
going to
long,
go down that
bizarre-
road?
No, exactly. I don't think you really want to, but it's a long. I'm just going to retweet. I'm going to say we are live now.
Sasha, I
order here.
tweeted it to you, so
I'm looking this up now.
Okay,
I'm so
thank
curious.
you.
you're very welcome.
Let the
I'm gonna
games
say if
begin.
anyone wants to see us get drunk and and
Huzzah.
answer Oscar trivia. The drunk part, like that's sort of irresponsible of us, right? But
Is it though?
okay, so
Absolutely not,
We're not
Sasha. It is
driving. We can't
completely
go anywhere.
responsible. And
Not
I
during
demand a
quarantine.
repeat of last time.
Hell no.
we can't be held responsible for the things we say. But okay, so just really quickly, the Michael Moore, you don't even want to know. Let's not even get into it. Basically, it's just a
Oscar
it's just a
trivia.
political
Yay.
You
thing.
got quote tweeted by Joe Walsh.
Well, that's it. That's what it started in. And I think he's got a lot of
okay.
followers. So that's what started this whole thing. And so it's been all day. I mean, he must have like, I don't know how many he has, but
A lot.
we're
Yeah.
actually friends.
You're friends with Joe
Not
Walsh.
anymore.
Yes, I'm friends with Joe Walsh. I know, it's weird. I don't know what to tell
And we just lost half our listeners. No, I'm kidding.
you. No, I'm sorry. It's not. It's just I believe that we are united in kind of an ally situation like in World War II, where, you know, we have to build alliances to try to defeat. You don't want to hear this, believe me. We'll leave this behind. We're going to put on the Oscar person hat. So not the political person hat. There's too much of that. Everybody knows. I can see on Matt's face. He's like,
I'm just waiting for the segue at this point. I'm like, is she,
yes, okay, I'm segueing. Here we go. Ready? All right, everybody.
How do you feel
So
about
now
Bernie
we're-
Sanders, Sasha?
Oh my god.
Don't even go there. We can't.
That is David. He is stirring the pot.
He is really, no, he does. He likes to do that. He likes to torment. Okay, so we are now about to start the game, and that means we're handing it over to Matt.
All right. So hello, everyone. First and foremost, Marshall keeping score for everybody.
One question. Did we, because we didn't really decide on how to score like multiple questions of multiple parts. So last time, so I thought we'd square that away this time. So
my vote is 1 point for like a one answer. If it's multiple parts, if you get the majority of them, then you share the points with whoever fills in the blanks.
Marshall, I like
I
the
got zero
Jeopardy
either
rule.
way.
Or you can do Jeopardy, all
I
or
like
nothing.
the Jeopardy rule. It's all or nothing.
all or nothing.
The whole
like that too.
thing, you get nothing.
Only three of
You
us are going to
guys-
win anyway, so.
No,
Matt,
no,
what do
we
you
have to
think?
make it.
We did half points last time, right?
Yeah, we did half points, but,
Well, we had
but
points.
that was me shooting from the hip. So
And I was gonna say,
there was no rules. It was
turned into
the
who's
rules
won
kept
It's
changing
called
last time.
anarchy.
yeah.
All or nothing.
Just like the Oscar season.
Lord help us.
Okay,
We'll talk about that after.
we'll do all or nothing. Let's give it a go here for like
Fair
Jeopardy.
enough.
So.
Nothing. Good.
All right, so the order is going to be as follows. We're going to have Sasha, Joey, Megan, Marshall, Shadan, Jalal, Erik, David, Will, Michael, Clayton, Mark, Nathaniel. And believe me, I will let you know when it is your turn. So first of all,
Thank you for
I want to
saying
write
the
this
order.
order
said
down.
Michael Clayton.
Yeah, no, when I typed
Can you type it again?
The chat.
when I typed that, I noticed that.
Yeah,
too. It's
type
like-
that in the chat.
okay, no problem. And a quick
Michael
shout out as
Clayton.
well to Michael Clayton.
Where's Tilda Swinton when?
How
you
many
need her?
Oscars did it win?
One.
At least one.
Tilda Swinton. That
But
Tilda
the best-
Swinton call, man.
but the best one.
Dave Carter.
All right,
got
quick
that
shout out
call.
to the following people that submitted questions. Some of them are in this room. Honor system. If you submitted a question over to me, you have to say this is your question. Thus, we will skip over you. So, Michael Schwartz, Marshall Flores, Oren, Eon Daly, Clarence Moy, Jacob Manolis, Rob Montoya, Stephen Adams, Rachel Schwartz, The Cinephile Lightbox, Ryan McQuaid, Jakeem, Ben Hamilton,
Rachel
Chad
Schwartz.
Mahan, Sylvian LaBruce, and Jalal Haddad.
Okay, give me an
I
easy
sent
one.
questions too. Did they not come in?
That's like a lot from here.
You submitted questions too?
Yeah. Did they not come in?
I thought I heard Nathaniel. I thought I heard Nathaniel on that list.
Nah, I don't have Nathaniel listed here.
No?
I don't. Nathaniel, I don't know.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I know. I thought I heard him say he got.
They
them
might
on
be
an
in there.
email.
They might not be in there. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I'm already
I
seeing
think
a coup
Nathaniel-
happening here.
We could just have
No, I think
Nathaniel ask
Nathaniel's-
his question live.
I mailed them in to the correct address, so we'll see.
I saw that, and I think that yours is going to question there. God, there's so many people asking questions.
Yeah.
How are you going to know?
Chad asked a
Like,
very
I didn't
important.
ask any.
Chad asked a very important question. He said, "What does the winner get?"
Ooh.
Bragging
I
rights?
Drunk.
Bragging rights are pretty baller, but
Yeah, I already got that. What else? What do you got?
A date with Michael Gray.
Oh, thank you. I would say a bottle of wine from Sasha's collection.
Ooh, I like that.
All right.
How's that, Sasha?
He knows I have this. Yeah, he knows I have this ridiculous collection.
I have some stuff I can give away here.
Yeah.
From the
I can
Francis
give
Ford
stuff
away.
Coppola collection. All righty.
You know,
Wine is
it's that's pretty close actually.
Sasha,
Okay, so
starting
let's
off
go.
with you.
Let's do it.
First question.
Thank you. Easy one, please.
There are 25 individuals who have won competitive Oscars and also hosted the Oscars at some point. Name
25.
Name as many as you can.
How do you?
Oh wait, how would
For
someone
one
work
point?
on this then?
How many
Yeah,
points?
give her like name
Yeah,
three.
name 5 or something.
Yeah,
So-
name
Like
or
name
there's-
one.
So how about this? So there's 25,
Okay,
right?
so-
So if you can name 5, how about that?
There you
Okay.
go.
All right, I know Whoopi Goldberg is one.
Yep.
She hosted and she won. I don't think Billy Crystal ever won, and he hosted a bunch. So we got to go like way back, right? Like to the old days. Oh my God, this is bad. This is my bet, but I bet Michael would know this. Like I can see the smug look on his face.
Next
He
is
knows
Joey
it.
Moser.
Oh,
Okay, Joey.
All right,
Okay.
thank you for skipping me.
I didn't know if you were done. I was letting you know who was next.
All right,
I'm
so
done. I got Whoopi.
Sasha,
That's it.
Sasha named Whoopi. Joey, can you name 5 others to get the question right?
4 others.
Anne Hathaway.
All right, fine, 4 others.
Anne Hathaway.
Oh,
Mhm.
James Franco.
he didn't win an
No,
Oscar.
fuck! All right, I'm gonna start drinking. All right.
Megan's next.
Anne Hathaway did.
Megan.
Okay. Bob Hope.
Nope.
Oh, I would have said Hoop too.
Marshall.
Oscar night Passover.
Okay, so we got Hathaway, we have, and we also have Goldberg. So I'm going to go with Robin Williams.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He's
Jane
hosted
Fonda.
the Oscars. I didn't.
I know you listed.
Jane Fonda,
Jane
and then
Fonda.
I'm also pretty sure Jack Lemmon hosted.
And the answer is no.
Really? Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
wait, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sorry. Yes. Sorry. It's not in alphabetical order, so my eyes deceived me. Yes, so you got it. That's
Hey,
fine.
Marshall.
Yay,
So tell us the rest.
Marshall.
Yeah, tell us
David Niven
Yeah,
was
I'm not.
one,
Yeah,
right?
I'm-
Niven,
maybe
Niven
Walter
was one I said.
Matthau and
Goldie
Michael
Hawn.
Caine. That's probably Goldie Hawn, maybe.
Goldie
You
Hawn,
didn't-
Walter
Goldie
Matthau,
Streisand.
Liza
Didn't-
Minnelli, Ellen Burstyn, Warren Beatty, Frank Sinatra, Shirley
Frank
MacLaine,
Sinatra.
David Niven,
Yeah.
John Huston, Charlton
Dunn.
Heston, Michael Caine, Helen Hayes, Olivier.
Michael
Caine
Sorry.
hosted the Oscars.
You
Hosted?
used to have years
Yeah.
where
Those years where they had a
several
lot of people,
actors
probably.
hosted together.
They've done that
Wow.
a few times, yeah.
Helen Hayes,
God, I am
Eric said
not a
Helen
good-
Hayes, Jimmy Stewart, Celeste Holm, Joseph L. Mankiewicz, Claudette Colbert, Frederick March,
Joseph Mankiewicz.
Frank Capra, and Lionel Barrymore.
Did you say Ellen Burstyn?
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did.
that she was there.
All right. Joey
That's
Moses up
nuts,
next.
man.
Oh shit.
So now we go to Joey. Yep. All right, Joey, here we go. Who's the only actor to win both the Caesar Award for Best Actor and the Oscar for Best Actor in the same year?
Ooh.
I know this
Ooh.
freaking thing.
I don't know.
All right, going over to Megan.
Wait, so can you repeat the question?
Who is the only actor to win both the Caesar Award for Best Actor and the Oscar for Best Actor in the same year?
Is it
Oh, I
John
would guess.
Caesar Dan?
I can think of two that I
No.
think it might be.
Is there just one?
I'm sorry?
Is there one?
It says who's the only actor.
The only. Okay.
Yep, and it's not
But
John.
I'm just saying
It's
I
not
can
John-
think of
What,
two.
what
I
did
think
Megan
it
say?
That was my guess
Oh.
too, Megan.
It says John
Oh.
Jarjan.
Oh, that's a good
Desjardins
guess.
lost
Yeah.
to
Marshall?
Untouchables.
It's not. It's not.
Okay,
that?
it's
That's
that
what I
Caesar,
would've
both
picked,
the
too.
Caesar and
lost.
the Oscar.
Yes.
He lost to Cesar, to
Yeah.
the guy from the Untouchables.
Adrian Brody.
It is Adrian Brody, the pianist.
Yes.
got
Marshall.
Marshall?
Shadon, are you ready?
It's gonna be
No.
No,
This is
Megan.
gonna be a beat.
It goes back to
Megan-
Megan now.
Megan's
Oh,
up.
sorry, you're right. We're doing that order again. Sorry. Megan?
I'm keeping tally here. This is. I'm gonna,
Okay, I'll keep tally too, and then we'll just make
Yeah.
just as a
we'll compare
collate.
notes.
All right, Megan. There are 9 animated features that won competitive Oscars before the Best Animated Feature category was established. What are those movies? There are 9 of them.
Oh my god.
Name all 9. Wow.
All 9 of them?
Yep.
That's really hard, man.
It is.
Forget it.
Give her, let her name 3. Okay, just 3.
All right.
9?
is a lot.
Yeah, like maybe 3. Forget that.
Lion
Really?
King?
Lion King is 1.
Aladdin?
Aladdin's another.
Easy.
And what?
Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast is the other. Yep.
Yeah.
So there's your 3. Okay. Megan
Yay,
got it.
A bunch of Disney movies.
To the others, tell us the other 6.
Good job, Megan.
What are the other ones now?
The other ones are Pinocchio,
Toy
Dumbo,
Story.
The Little Mermaid, Pocahontas, The Prince of Egypt, and Tarzan.
Oh, okay.
But Toy Story won something, didn't it?
They were all for song.
Toy Story.
It was like
Toy
a special achievement award.
Yeah,
It
Toy
wasn't
Story
like
was
that.
special. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it did, Toy Story
Score.
2 did not win.
Lion
song.
King won score.
Yeah, Newman. Yeah, Randy Newman didn't win for.
But
Toy
all
Story
the other
one.
ones were song or score.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm taking a break just really quickly to ask everybody. Mark has Telluride in his background. Raise your hand if you think Telluride's going to actually happen this year.
I think it's gonna happen. I don't know if it's gonna matter. but
David, Poland.
Not happening.
It's happening.
Telluride thinks it's
Oh,
happening.
all right.
Telluride is
Let's
being
go
so
on and-
stubborn about trying to make it happen, they're going to destroy it. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but since it's only 3 days, I think they have the best shot of any other festival of actually happening.
Right.
There will be
All
a
right,
Toronto.
continue.
It'll probably be mostly virtual.
Didn't Ian Thompson say they were
Venice, not so
extending
much.
days to make it longer?
They extended it one
there's an
day.
extra day.
One
That's
day.
right. There's one extra day at Telluride.
And I've
We've
been
all
saying
had
they
to
should
Sorry,
change our
extend it,
plans.
triple it. But they're very stubborn to Telluride. They really think it's going to happen, and it's
I hope
probably
it
not.
happens.
Me too.
I'm hoping it happens, but
'Cause you already spent the
let's go
money.
on.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
Marshall.
A and
you
B,
ready?
it's
Yeah.
one of the things I look forward to in a year.
Everybody does. Yeah.
Marshall.
I do too.
It's still Megan, isn't it?
No,
Megan.
No, it's
Megan
Marshall's
just did
turn
the.
now. It was, it was Megan's question.
Yeah, we're not doing
Okay.
repeats. In the infamous 1988 opening number, what song did Rob Lowe and
No, that's too easy. That's not fair.
Shoot.
No, give it to
No,
her.
I don't. I said I know the skit. I don't remember the song though.
Yeah, what's the name of the song that they performed?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
The actual song or what it was
89?
based off of?
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's a fictionalized version.
Well, in that case,
But it's 89, not 88.
are you talking about the 89 ceremony year?
Yeah.
Yeah, this
For,
person.
it was for 1988 Oscars in 1989.
It was the Rain Man year.
Oh,
Here we go.
here we go.
Okay, yeah, I don't know this. I don't know the song, so I'll forfeit on this
I'm
one.
gonna go put on a caftan.
All right, Marshall.
I have a captain.
So Shadon.
Yeah, already. Yeah, it's done.
Marshall, you skipping? So next
Yes.
thing
here's
Shadon.
I don't know. Do I get a pass for not being born yet?
Oh my God! No, you get
No, it gets worse for
block.
you.
Jalal, what song did Rob Lowe and Snow White perform together?
Done.
Um,
I'm gonna
is
have to
it-
get you back for that.
like
You could be my daughter. Like it's like, come on.
Happy
88. I
Working
was already like
song? Is that-
ruining my
what'd you
life
say,
in
Jalal?
Los Angeles
like
in
that happy
88.
workings. I don't know. No.
I
All right,
remember
perfect
the
song
dance
to
number.
Enchanted.
Eric Anderson.
Okay.
Proud Mary.
It's Proud Mary.
Proud Mary. Good job.
Oh,
And you, sir, should be proud.
Mary.
Goddamn.
I remember it too well.
Now, how about a
Didn't
bonus
Disney
point?
try
You
to
know what the
sue
song
on the
was?
river
because
right
they
now,
used
so you know.
Snow White in that thing? Didn't Disney because they used Snow White as the image for that song?
Yeah, the Alan Carr documentary goes into it in great detail, and it's fabulous.
It like
You remember the
literally
lyric
ruined
that
the
they changed
career
it
of the
to?
guy who produced it.
Yeah.
All right, Shadon's up next.
Shadon.
Okay.
Starting
like 3 years old.
Starting in 1973, Best Picture has traditionally been the final award presented at the Oscars. However, what was the final award presented at the 1972 Oscars instead?
God. I'm just gonna guess. Is it director?
No.
Oh,
No.
that would have been my guess.
Jalal?
Did you say the 1972 Oscars?
Yep.
Was it
So-
lead actress?
Nope. Eric?
I don't know.
I would have guessed lead actress.
But
Yeah, me too.
I'll guess and do. I should know, but foreign language film.
Negative.
It was
David
for La La
Poland.
Land. It was for La La Land. I have no idea. Even I'm not
Me
that
either.
old.
I should know this.
Will Mavity?
Song.
Nope. Michael Schwartz?
Lead actor.
No.
Oh.
Honorary.
Clayton Davis?
So I need a clarification question. Is this 1971 ceremony or 1971 film year?
This is technically, oh God, you know what? I didn't bother to look
Just
it up.
tell me what won Best Picture, and I'll
Give
tell
us
you.
both
Well,
answers.
if it's the
Hold on,
I
I'll
need
tell
to
you
know if
right
it's the
now.
French Connection year or
I'll tell you right now.
Godfather.
The answer is the
Picture.
1972 ceremony year. So that would be the French Connection
Okay.
year.
So the last award, did someone croak that year? I'll go.
Oh shit!
I'll go original score.
I already said score.
Negative.
Oh, did you? I didn't hear
Mark
that.
Johnson.
I'll go screenplay. Right.
Nope.
Which one?
We're gonna go through every category of the
I
Oscar.
have no idea.
Was it an honorary award?
That wouldn't. Would that be 10?
Wait, it's
Yeah.
not your turn.
Oh.
It's not your turn, David Poland.
When
I
we're
was
all-
my
Wait till your
turn.
turn.
When everyone's done, I'm gonna throw another guess out.
Yeah,
Nathaniel.
it goes back to
Me
Sasha.
too.
I think I have a guess now.
Oh,
too.
okay. Yeah.
Sasha?
No, we're up to
Me,
Nathaniel.
what about you? Wait, Nathaniel's after you, Mark, isn't he?
No.
Yeah, Nathaniel's up.
No,
Nat
Oh,
is
I'm
after
sorry, I
Mark.
didn't write him down. My bad. I'm sorry.
Am I up or not?
Nathaniel.
no,
Nathaniel.
it's Nathaniel. Do you know Michael? God, fuck
I
you.
think I know.
I'm sorry.
Nathaniel, you're
Nathaniel,
muted.
go ahead.
There we go.
Matt,
You're muted,
Just for
Nathaniel.
clarification,
Yeah.
in the list you gave us of the order, you did not list Michael, so he's.
I'm
not-
gonna have Michael Gray go after you.
Okay.
In that regard.
So
I have a freeze frame on my thing. Do you guys?
So,
Yeah, I see that too.
You're frozen, Sasha, but
it'll
everyone else-
fix itself.
So I was gonna guess honorary too, but just because I can't imagine a supporting actor being last, and you went through both lead actors already.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say
My
honorary.
thing is totally frozen.
So you're
Yeah,
gonna say
okay, honorary. It's a good guess.
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
say
say
what,
the
Nathaniel? Honorary?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. It is an honorary Oscar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so now I know what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like an
The
idiot.
70.
I knew it
Okay,
was
I don't
It
think
is,
I saw it.
Nathaniel?
I know who it is.
Do I know
You
who
little
won it in
tramp.
71?
Yeah.
I know who it is.
Yeah.
Who it is?
Is that
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking.
No, it's still
Is it-
Nathaniel.
Is it Charlie Chaplin?
It is
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
it's a Chaplin year?
The
Limelight.
12-minute standing ovation.
Limelight. It had to be Limelight. Okay.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I
Nice
was gonna
job,
guess that
Nathaniel.
it's in memoriam. They just did the in memoriam at the end. Wouldn't that be?
Oh,
a guess?
Nathaniel got that.
Go out on a high note there.
To close this year's Oscars with Harvey Weinstein coming out.
All right.
That would get some attention.
It's Jalal's question now.
Of all the people who received Oscars prior to 1950, there were only 3 that are still left alive. Who are they?
Mm.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He presents an Oscar?
1950?
Yep.
No one should still be alive.
There are people.
You know this, Jalal.
Rude.
It's too long to live. 1950. Olivia de Havilland.
That's one of them. Absolutely.
Do you like honorary? Do you say competitive?
They don't say that. They just say who received Oscars prior to 1950.
Who
so
received Oscars?
yeah, I'm gonna basically include honorary, juvenile, like all of that in here essentially.
Yeah, that's all I have. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Eric Anderson.
I had Olivia de Havilland, and now I'm trying to think of.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
Helen Hayes is dead. Jesus.
Prior to 1950.
I'll pass.
Okay. From Eric to David Poland.
I'm completely blanking on his name, but Orson Welles' producer, who is still with us, had to be on there. Whose name he's alive, 102 now, or maybe 103. Did Sasha leave?
Sasha was
her computer crashed.
She was frozen.
Her computer crashed, so I guess she's rebooting right now.
So yeah, I'm completely forgetting his name, but he's still alive. Who was on St. Elsewhere, who also acted. Anybody
did
else
he
want to
win?
tell me who I'm talking about?
What did he win?
No. Not when we're still in
Win for-
contention.
Huh?
What did he win?
Oh, he would have won for producing.
But it didn't win Best Picture.
For Citizen Kane, you mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What did he win?
It's a good question.
Screenplay.
Anyway,
Maybe it's not.
Pass.
Maybe it's not him.
maybe he's not. Well, there's still 2 more, right?
Will.
There's still another
Yeah.
2.
Will
There's still
Mavity?
2 more.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you guys a hint on this one. Okay.
Return to us.
Well, I can
Sorry.
answer. I think I know it. I think I know if you
All
let
right, so
me answer.
let it get to Michael, and then you can give a
Michael Schwartz. Do you know who it is?
I know one
Yeah.
person. It might not be the one you're
Free
thinking.
Saint.
All right.
Is it
Who is?
Margaret
Not you,
O'Brien.
Michael
And
Schwartz.
Margaret
Michael
O'Brien.
Gray.
Margaret
Michael.
O'Brien's
Michael.
one.
Michael.
Michael Schwartz. Hold on. Schwartz
Michael
said
Schwartz.
Michael.
Schwartz is
What?
Yeah, it's Schwartz first. After
Good Schwartz.
Will
Yeah, I
Mavity.
said Margaret O'Brien.
And Margot O'Brien is Margaret. Oh my God, I can't talk. Margaret O'Brien is one of them. So there's one person left,
You, s-
and I'm going to click it over to Clayton if Clayton knows.
I don't think Eva Marie Saint's still alive, is she?
Yes, she
Yeah.
is. But that was after 50.
Wow,
One
she's
in-
old.
I was gonna guess.
54. I
Oh
think.
wait, so
2?
then
54, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
54.
can I get a gender?
It's
Can
male
I
or
phone a
female.
friend?
I don't
Because
know.
I feel like it'll narrow it down a
I
little
need to
bit for
phone
me.
a friend.
I will. I'll tell you what. I'll give you an even better hint than that. The award that they won was a juvenile award.
No one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mickey Rooney?
Yeah.
No.
No, he's dead.
Is he dead? Yeah, I didn't know.
Oh,
Mark Johnson.
That was going to be my guess too. So
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
Nathaniel? You're muted,
My
Nathaniel.
computer was having trouble. I missed the question.
So all the people who received Oscars prior to 1950, there were only 3 who are still alive. Olivia de Havilland was one of them. Margaret O'Brien was the other. Who was the third?
God, I would never got that. A million years.
How many juvenile winners have there
If
been?
Nathaniel doesn't know, I feel like no one's gonna know.
Yeah, I mean, I do a list every year of the oldest actors still alive, and I'm like,
Okay, hey Matt.
We're up to Michael Gray now. So Michael, do you know who it is?
Okay, you said that. Let me get this. 3 remaining survivors be prior to 1950, or is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that there are 3 people that won Oscars before 1950 that are still alive.
Before 1950.
Correct.
Oh, okay. So that we got Margaret O'Brien, Olivia de Havilland, and oh god,
A juvenile winner.
Yeah,
it's a juvenile winner that's still
I don't
alive.
think anyone's gonna get it.
Wait, no, not that.
Oh, Nathaniel knows now. Damn.
I said if Nathaniel didn't know, none of us will know.
Yeah,
I do know now.
Yeah.
I do know now. I'm so sad.
I was gonna say Freddie Bartholomew, but I think he might be dead.
No.
Mickey Rooney won one. Judy Garland won one. Shirley Temple won one back in the 30s.
Dude, still be alive.
Peggy Ann Gardner. John Whitley. He's dead.
Are these answers?
I'm trying to think of all the young.
Yeah, I think it should be
Kids that-
time.
the young kids that won honorary.
Does anyone want to take a guess besides
Wait,
Nathaniel?
it goes to Sasha.
No, I know, but just for the sake of time, does anyone know it?
Joey.
Does anyone know it?
Marshall.
I don't.
John,
No.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
it.
the kid's name.
Eric.
I know it.
David. Will Mavity.
Once, going
Mike
twice.
Schwartz. Not me. Back to Nathaniel. Go ahead.
Haley Mills.
No.
It's not Haley Mills.
But she won a. Oh shit! She won in 60.
In
Sorry.
6,
I
yeah.
said no one's gonna know this. It's
What is it?
Claude Jarman Jr. for the yearling.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
I remember him during
None of us are gonna know
the
that.
yearbook sequence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy.
That was a tough one.
Nathaniel, you were our only hope there.
Yeah.
These questions are murder.
Yeah. Eric's question now.
Eric Anderson. During the last Oscar trivia night, we were all asked which Best Picture winner has the longest title. Now we're asking which 2 Best Picture winners are tied for having the shortest title.
Oh shit! The shortest title. Marty's the shortest length.
Oh, wait, I didn't know.
Oh, wait.
I know one of them, I think.
I know.
I think
both
I know
of
one of them.
Yeah, I know both of them.
Damn it! I hate it. I hate being on the spot.
It's fun to watch you struggle.
It is. I can. The machinations are. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna pass.
All right, moving over to David Poland.
So we already discounted Marty?
No, I
Said
didn't.
Marty.
I just threw it out there. I didn't guess it though.
Oh. Well, are we down to the length of the number of letters in the title? Is that part of it?
Characters in a title, exactly.
Huh. Because I was thinking Patton, but that's longer than Marty. So it can't be that.
Nope.
Fuck. Oh, no, what? Even better.
That would be a great title.
No. Wasn't that a World War II? Wasn't that instead of Z, was the original title was fuck? Not Ben-Hur, even with a hyphen.
All right, that's two.
That's
guesses.
too long.
2 guesses?
Will
Way too
Will
long.
Mavity's up next.
Going to
How
Will.
about
One of
Gigi?
them's Argo, ARGO.
Yeah, we
How
already
about
moved on.
Gigi?
We already moved.
You already moved on. Okay.
Yeah, one of them is Argo. Will. What's the other one?
Apparently, I said the other.
What's
No?
that?
All right, Michael Schwartz. What's the other one?
Give it to David because he just said it. And
Oh,
I
he
heard
did.
it.
Oh, he
I know it.
did.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
David,
He kept.
what was
He get.
Gigi.
It is GG.
So who get the points for? How does the points go for this then? So
Whoever was
it's all for-
after.
We
Give
said
it
Will.
to Mavity.
I guess
I guess
Will
it's all
would
for
get it.
nothing. Okay, we'll give it to Will.
Will will
Give it to Will.
Alrighty.
Starts with David, I think.
Yep, David.
I feel like we're having a wake for Sasha now.
I know where's
Yeah, where'd she go? Still having computer problems, so
It's her or Michael Gray. It can never be both.
Are they the same person? That's what you
Highlander
have to
shit.
ask.
Not drinking, her computer doesn't work.
There you go.
Okay, David, starting in 1990.
Oh, me. Okay.
Yes. Starting in
This is
1990.
I think this is my question.
Oh, wait,
so.
hold on. Sasha's coming back on.
Is she really?
Sasha?
Slowly.
Sorry, I'm turning into
There you are.
Truth.
There she is.
I'm turning into Khloe Kardashian in real time.
Oh no.
You're getting facial surgery?
Ah,
I don't
She
understand
definitely had her
what's going
jaw shaved
on.
down.
I have no. It's seriously, she did. I don't think that's
She
really
did.
her in that photo.
is
But
not
I don't
her.
know what's going on with
No,
my
she's
computer.
had surgery. She had
can you
facial surgery,
imagine
clearly.
like if they just like cracked it and just like all kind of
That's what they do. They literally shave the jaw down.
No, I don't think that's what happened with her. I don't think that's really her in that picture.
All right, David.
What's going on
Yes.
there?
All right.
Is it a question about the
Okay.
Kardashians?
All right.
I'm
Beginning
sorry,
in
David.
1990.
Khloe Kardashian win an Oscar?
Hey, guys.
Beginning in 1990.
Who's
Three,
question? Is
this
this
is for David Poland.
David.
David Poland?
Beginning in 1990, 3 films beginning with the letter G achieved the following feats. They each grossed at least $200 million at the domestic box office. They were all nominated for at least 5 Oscars, including Best Picture.
Yeah.
And they each won at least 2 Oscars. What are those 3
That's
films
too
that begin
much,
with the
man.
letter G?
No, that's
Gravity seems to be the easy one.
Gravity is
Yeah.
one of them. Yep.
G.
At least 5 Oscar nominations, at least 2 wins, and $200 million at the domestic box office, 1990 on.
And all 3
Huh.
were Best Picture
1990
nominees.
on?
90.
Yep.
1990. I don't know whether Green Book actually ever hit $200 million. I don't think it did.
It didn't.
no.
So that's not it.
Nope.
Is it 200
Oh, look at
Sasha's
this.
having a
It
good
crashed.
time.
It's
You see
200
my
million
video
domestic.
crashed again. This is nuts.
Right.
What's going on?
Well, at least we have your audio.
Yeah.
I don't understand. If my shared screen, it says host disabled attendee screen
so
share.
if he's gone, can I do the next 2?
Wait,
Who's gone?
you don't need to screen. You don't need to screen share, Sasha.
But it says host
Yeah.
disabled attendee screen share on my
Yeah, but
thing for
you
some
don't
reason.
need screen share.
I know, but it's green and my thing is freeze frame. So don't you think that's probably some problem?
Who's
That's
up
your
right
You
now?
think so?
No, I think
it's
it's
still
just,
David,
it's just
although
an
I think-
internet issue.
Because you had the screen share, then it would be the whole screen and not just you.
I know, but why is it only showing my freeze frame?
Because it loves you.
No, come on. Seriously, what's going on? This is a new
Check your
computer. It should
video.
not be-
Is it X'd out?
The only thing that's different is that the share screen is lit up green. And when I press it, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing. So maybe you would need to invite me in or something.
Why are you
No,
why are
'cause
you
you're in
messing with
right
the
now.
share
Yeah,
screen?
she's already.
Why are you trying to share your screen?
Yeah.
Because
Well-
I'm seeing a freeze frame for me. And you guys, are you not seeing my video?
That's another function entirely.
Yeah.
You need to look over at your video button,
Yeah.
which is further to
Go
the
to the
left.
bottom left. It says start video and
Yeah,
check to
it's-
see which camera
It
pulling
says
from.
FaceTime. It's doing video settings, but it's not showing
Oh,
my
you're
video.
on your
which is-
phone.
Are you on your phone?
No, I'm not. I'm on my desktop.
I don't know why this
Yeah,
is.
I need to restart
I
the video.
I
should-
didn't have this problem last time, so I don't understand what's going
So,
on.
yeah,
Like,
something
it-
because you
Wow.
were good earlier. So,
Will, that's quite an image there.
God damn it, Will.
oh my god.
I swear to God.
Oh my
I'll
god.
try it again. I'll quit again.
As soon as this quarantine is over, I'm kicking your ass.
I think it's also my turn for to do the next.
No,
2
you don't
films.
get any more
No,
turns.
I don't have any more guesses.
So
You're
okay,
done.
what was my first guess?
Your first guess
Gravity.
was gravity. which
Gravity,
you
but you're
Gravity.
done. So it's Will.
Second one,
Will.
what?
No, no, we're
Sasha
done.
interrupted
Move
the whole
on,
thing.
move on.
We moved
I
on.
have
to-
Move on.
Gladiator.
We
If we're
moved
moving
on.
on.
We moved on.
I have
We've moved
Gladiator.
on.
I don't have a third one.
Yeah, Ghost.
Ghost is the number one. Yes,
Yeah.
And I know the last one. It's Gladiator.
it is Gladiator.
Oh, he just
Good
said
job,
it.
guys.
So Michael Schwartz gets that.
Yeah.
This is
Works.
anarchy.
Well, David shouted. He said.
I said
grab
it, but
the
you guys kept on
Gladiator.
telling me to stop, even though Sasha was talking the whole time. You moved on without me.
I think that one should go to. I think that one should go to David for getting 2 of them. Then.
All right.
All right, that's fine, David.
You gotta get all. You gotta get all to get the point. We said.
All right. Will's up next.
Okay.
Bill, what is the only Oscar-nominated Meryl Streep performance to not be first nominated at the Golden Globes?
Oh God. The Post.
No.
No, that had like 7 nominations.
Michael Schwartz.
Oh goodness. It's probably an older one. It's probably way back. Like I want to say something like The French Lieutenant's Woman, but that's probably wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong. Clayton Davis.
That wasn't nominated at the Golden Globes first.
Correct.
It's definitely nothing recent. It's definitely one of her older ones. I'm going to say it's definitely something from the 80s. It's not Silkwood. It's not Cry in the Dark. Definitely not Postcards from the Edge. The Bridges. Fuck. I'm gonna Music of the Heart. I know it's wrong.
Nope. Mark Johnson.
Kramer versus Kramer.
Nope.
No.
Nathaniel.
I'm gonna go with Ironweed.
It is Ironweed.
Good job.
Was my 80s thing a help, Nathaniel? Or you just knew it?
No, I knew it. So, Meryl Streep, you know. She's often the subject of trivia questions.
Yes. I actually had the fun one that I ask often. What's the only Meryl Streep performance to get Globe and SAG and not get nominated for an Oscar?
Oh, is it River Wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that one.
Oh my God, David's back.
Yeah.
All right. So I believe we're up to Michael. Was that your question or Will's?
That was Will's.
Was
All
mine.
right. So Mike. All right. So Michael, it's your turn.
Michael.
Okay.
3 cinematographers have achieved the rare feat of winning Best Cinematography at the Oscars in consecutive years. Leon Shamroy was winning was the first one, winning back-to-back years for Wilson and Leave Her to Heaven. Name the other 2.
Okay, well, I definitely know Emmanuel Lubezki, Chivo. He was one.
Mhm. Yep.
Deakins has The Gap, so it's not him, and I can't think of the other 2. So we'll just.
Oh no. Well,
just have one more.
Just one more.
Oh, just one more.
I gave you. Yeah. You don't
This
know.
was
You
Marshall.
don't know it.
This was Marshall's question.
It's going to be really
I do
obvious,
know
probably.
this.
Yeah.
Wasn't Janusz Kaminski.
Hey Clayton, can you
Yep.
fix it? It says when I go on here, it says host disabled attendee screen sharing. Can you
It's
just
not
fix it
it's
so
not
that
screen
it?
share, Sasha. Bottom left-hand corner, hit start video. Because right now you're not sharing the
Okay.
video.
All right.
There.
Yes.
I don't know what's
leave
going on
share
with my
screen alone.
computer.
Yeah, it
No,
looks like just an internet connectivity issue.
All right. So Michael,
so.
we're moving on from you. You correctly said Emmanuel Lubezki. Clayton, who's the other one?
I'm gonna guess John Toll.
You are correct,
Bingo.
John Stoll.
All right.
I was waiting.
You got the point.
Legends of the Fall and Braveheart.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. That was Michael's question. So Clayton, this is yours. An innovative editor and sound designer who received his first Oscar nomination for The Conversation is the only person to win Oscars for Best Film Editing and Sound Mixing for the same film. Who
Come
is it, and
on.
which film is it for?
What the fuck? Wait, that's a long question.
Yeah, so an innovative film
So
editor and
who
sound
won an Oscar
designer
for
who
both,
received.
editing and sound?
No, so
who's the only person? Who's the only person to win Best Film Editing, Best Sound Mixing for the same film?
Right, and his first nomination was for The Conversation. If
It's
that helps.
probably the best sounding film you've ever heard.
Who's the only person anybody pays attention to and buys books from about sound editing?
Oh my God.
So many clues.
Oh my God.
Or mixing.
So many
It's a-
clues.
It's a lot of clues. Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Kevin O'Connor?
Nope.
No.
I have no idea.
Mark
Johnson.
No idea.
Nathaniel.
I
Daniel.
think his name is Walter Merck, right?
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yes.
Good job.
And that book,
Sure.
the
Merch.
Conversations, is an amazing book. If anybody hasn't read it,
That's why I
Or
picked the
Chuck.
conversation.
was-
That's why I
so
picked
what
the
was-
conversation in there.
yeah.
What was the movie though?
What's
I put
Apocalypse
it in
Now.
English Patient. Oh no, sorry.
Oh.
Apocalypse. Oh, no,
Yeah.
sorry. Apocalypse Now, right?
Yeah.
No, it's English.
No, it
yeah,
was
It
English.
was
It
English
was
Patient who won the editing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's English Patient. I was gonna say because Apocalypse Now won sound, but not film editing. Yeah.
All right, Mark Johnson's up.
All right,
sweet.
Mark.
Yay.
David.
All right, Mark. With 8 wins, Cabaret made history as the most awarded film without taking home Best Picture. But which craft award did it not win?
Ooh.
Wait, what's the movie?
Cabaret made
Cabaret?
history
Oh,
as the
God.
most awarded film
Godfather.
without taking home Best Picture. But which craft award did it not win?
I will say.
Pretty much swept the text that year.
Yeah.
I'll say editing.
Nope. Nathaniel.
Well, does it have to have been nominated? Because it did not win cinematography or costumes. But it
Yeah,
wasn't
it did.
nominated for both of those.
It was.
Oh no, I'm sorry, it won cinematography. It did not win
Yeah.
costumes. It was not nominated for costumes.
Wow.
Nathaniel got it. It was costume design.
But it wasn't nominated.
So it didn't win.
So it didn't win, right?
Is Sasha
submitted that?
frozen
Who
again,
submitted
or is
that
she just
win?
staying on position?
Marshall, you submit that question.
No, that wasn't me.
All right, all right.
Is that Ben Affleck in Gone Girl, Eric?
Nathaniel has a big lead right now.
No.
Oh,
Ew, no.
Who
That's
is
Paul Mescal from Normal People.
oh, got it.
Jesus.
God,
Right.
if I ever put a picture of Ben Affleck's dick up, please shoot me.
But we know it's on your phone somewhere.
Phone on his computer Mac.
It's Nathaniel's question.
Release the Affleck cut.
Yeah, it's Nat's. Nathaniel's up.
Nathaniel.
Martin's the leader right now. So
Yeah,
Martin
he's
Nathaniel's
killing
the
it.
leader.
Nathaniel, Martin Sheen has been nominated for 5. Martin Sheen has been in 5 Oscar-nominated films spanning 5 decades. What are those 5 films?
Oh God.
wow.
Oscar nominated in what way?
Oscar-nominated for Best Picture.
Oh, for Best Picture.
Yes.
Okay.
Apocalypse Now, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
JFK.
Yep.
I'm not gonna get this in the time. We have like 10 seconds, right?
Give you 5 more seconds, unless you want to.
I'm gonna pass.
Okay, Michael G.
Michael Gray just went. He just got up.
He just went AWOL.
Michael Graves went AWOL.
Sasha.
Sasha.
I'm on audio, but it keeps saying host disabled sharing. So I don't know. I'm trying my.
You might have to go audio only for you, Sasha.
Go ahead and ask me right now while I try to figure out this whole Zoom situation. I'm trying to put it on my other computer. Maybe there's something going on with this computer. I don't know, but anyway, ask me. Go ahead. See if I can answer it.
So Martin Sheen has been in 5 Oscar-nominated Best Picture films spanning 5 decades. What are they? We already know 2 of them are
5.
JFK and Apocalypse Now. What are the other 3?
Martin Sheen in
Yep.
Best Picture winners.
Best Picture
Apocalypse
nominees.
Now.
Best Picture nominated.
Best Picture nominees. Okay. Martin Sheen. Holy fuck. Let's see. So we got Apocalypse Now. That was the big one.
Mm-hmm.
American President wasn't nominated for Best Picture.
Nope.
Martin Sheen. Don't cut me off. Just give me a second to think. God, Badlands wasn't nominated.
I give you 5 more seconds here.
I think that's
Okay,
time.
go ahead. Move on to the next one.
Joey Moser. You're muted.
Joey Moser, you're muted.
Joey,
you're muted.
Hold on.
Muted. There you go.
Hold on. I was just gonna be snarky and say West Wing in the motion picture while I interrupt.
Nice.
I would watch that.
I don't know.
Megan.
Is Bobby one?
Nominated.
No.
Oh, Bobby.
SAG Ensemble
Work for the
nominated.
By the way, I
Weinstein.
don't know if this is obvious to people, but it's not so much Oscar nominated as much as it could be Oscar winners or nominated. So I don't know if that helps. Because there's one very obvious one. I can't believe.
And it's the one that I know.
I'm about to say it as soon as it's my turn.
All right, Marshall.
The Departed.
Departed is another one. Yes.
We have 3 of
and
them.
I think he's in Gandhi as well.
Yes, that's the other
I haven't
one.
seen that forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so but I don't know the last one here. Pass. I'll pass.
Shadon?
You're muted,
No,
Shadon.
You're muted.
I no clue.
All right. Jalal.
I do not know the last one.
Okay. Erik Anderson.
I had the same too. So I am blanking on the last.
I'll give you guys a hint, even though I know we're
not Wall
supposed to do
Street.
hints.
Does
Not Wall Street.
It's the
Okay.
mo-
Why
Go
not
ahead.
Wall Street?
Well, that wasn't a Best Picture nominee.
Matt, what's the hint?
I don't
It's
think the last one.
it's the most recent of the answers.
Yeah, I figured that.
The most recent.
Yeah.
Really?
So after The Departed.
Oh, he's in Paris.
Oh my God!
Oh wait,
What is
Selma.
it?
is he in?
It's Selma. Yeah.
Selma.
Yeah.
Who was he in Selma?
I did not remember that.
It was
Who
like
were we giving that point to?
Eric.
Damn it.
Okay, we'll give it to Eric. That's fine.
Who got that one?
I'll give it to Eric. He
I'll
got the
take
last
like
one.
a 10th of a point. I'm doing terrible today.
So,
we're fine,
Eric,
we're fine.
I brought you Ben Affleck's dick, and I'm not getting any.
Oh my.
Actually, you have to go to Michael Gray because he stepped away for his question, so he gets this one now.
Wow.
Michael, you ready?
I'm
I
ready.
think is widely underrated.
3 films have won the top 5 Oscars: picture, director, actor, actress, screenplay. We
Come
talk-
on, that's too easy.
Yeah.
we talk about these films often, but who were the 3 directors?
Too easy.
Wait, hold on. One was Frank Capra for It Happened One Night.
Yep.
Other TV
Silence of the Lambs. Jonathan Demme.
That's 2.
Silence of the Lambs, and Milos Forman for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Well done.
Nest.
Nice job, Michael.
Well done.
Michael, woo!
I got something right.
Excellent.
Well
All right,
done.
Clayton.
All right,
so-
wait. I just want to give everyone a time because now we officially went around once, so we're also at the hour mark, so we can save the next hour for Q&As, or we could do one more round about, but then that might take some time. If we stop
done
now,
the question?
Nathaniel's quite ahead. He has 4.
God.
Let's just let Nathaniel win it because that was awesome. So wait, do we have questions that people sent us or what?
We do have some questions that people did send us. Yes.
They're also in the live chat too.
And what's the format from that? Like direct questions?
They're
Like it-
not
like it was last time.
Yeah, they're not person specific.
I don't remember last time.
All right, so first question. This one's from Jim Keller. They just want to know what everyone's predictions are for picture, director, actor, and actress as of today.
Oh my God.
For fuck's sake.
All of them?
I don't have any.
Who knows what it looks like?
Why don't we do like one category like per person or something?
Oh my God.
I don't know.
Well, how about
Anyone
just
even
your,
know that?
how about you just your top pick in each category?
I'll give you my
number one
picture.
spot.
I'll give you my picture. I don't have the other ones yet.
What do you got, Mark, for picture?
Oh, I think Mank. If it's still up.
Same here.
It'll
And
be out- it'll be
cinematography
out
win,
this year.
I feel like, because it's
Yeah.
black and white.
Gary Oldman's going to get a sure nomination, I think.
Makeup too. He's slathered in like a fat suit again.
Black and white cinematography. They just
And it's about them.
And it's a posthumous win for screenplay or nomination for
And
screenplay too.
and it's about them.
It's gonna win screenplay like so easily.
Yeah.
Not good. He's not in a fat suit, FYI.
No, he's not.
Just gain weight.
It's awesome.
Yeah, gained weight and yeah, that's yeah. No, I think that
I'm so sorry, Gary. I feel really bad now.
why?
Because he said he was in a fat
No,
suit.
he doesn't wear a fat suit. He's not actually fat. He's more like
stocky.
Stoutly.
Thick with two
Husky.
C's.
Big boned.
Big boned.
no, I'm just saying like, he's not playing a
Quarantined.
fat guy. He's playing a kind of a broken down alcoholic, as we all know that Herman Mankiewicz was, right? So he's not playing an overweight person. He's playing broken down alcoholic. But
Hey, I'm right here,
put
Sasha.
I know, baby. I know.
I'm predicting that his performance in Mank is going to be more critically acclaimed, and people are going to be like, "We should have waited to give him the Oscar for this."
I hope
Timmy
could
have had
at
it.
the time.
Timmy could have had it.
That's what happened to poor little Timmy.
I think that the director is going to be down to Fincher versus Spielberg. I just say that sight unseen. That has no basis in reality at all. But the way it's looking, I mean, God only knows. The Oscars are like, you know, when the
Crazy
Oscar
right
goes
now.
to the artist, it's like, who knows what, you know.
Why was that a surprise to you at all, Sasha? The artist was not a surprise at all.
Shut up. Just because you predicted it.
Everybody.
What did you think was going to win?
No, I didn't think anything was going to win. I'm just saying, like, every so often, like a movie comes out of nowhere and is suddenly like the favorite to win.
Well, yeah, that's
Like
true
Moonlight.
because like
Moonlight.
the artist
Parasite.
at this time in
Parasite.
2011, nobody would have said the artist.
Right.
Yeah. Well, about a week from now, we might start thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, today was supposed to be the last day of the Cannes Film Festival. Right. I should have that as a background right now.
How
Like that
weird
was
is that? Like we don't even know.
insane. I can't even think about the reality of it right now.
Seriously, how weird is that? Like by now we would have known if there was any sort of major director that popped. Now we should say that Parasite won Best Picture and had won the Palme d'Or, and the last film that did that was Marty, and before that, The Lost Weekend, and these are both great movies.
Which is why Cannes means so little to the Academy Awards.
No,
Really.
Can I ask why no one has said The French Dispatch?
I think it's French
because
Dispatch
it doesn't.
is going
It's
to
not
win.
anywhere near. It shouldn't be anywhere near like a top 5. Really?
Why not? Nobody's
not?
seen it yet.
Well, they were going to drop it in the
I
middle
mean,
of
Grand
the summer.
Budapest.
That's just
Grand Budapest was probably
Led the
one of the
nominations.
Picture.
Yeah. You can-
So
Yeah.
French
My
Dispatch
thought
is
process is that it looks fun and it's like one of the one movies in the fall that might draw people.
And they
whether
clearly
it's
like
good or
him.
not.
What about
We have no idea.
In
at
case
this
you
point.
guys, whoever's watching this, like the two people who are watching this, we're talking about Wes Anderson's movie, which we know is going to be like an art director nomination at the very least.
cinematography too. It's half black and white.
Yeah.
What about
Man,
Tenet?
what do y'all think of
Hey,
Spike Lee's lately?
Megan, what was that?
What about Tenet? Do we think that's gonna like? I mean, I feel like it's interesting that movie's coming out, like probably going to be the first one that we're all going to be really excited to go back to the theaters to see. And I just wonder if it's going to kind of ride on that.
Yeah, could inflate our love for it. Just 'cause
Yeah,
we're
that's what I
excited.
really think that. Well, the interesting thing about that drama-wise is that the last time Fincher was really in heavy competition was 2010 with The Social Network and
With
up against
Nolan
King's
again.
Speech
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
Inception. And Inception actually, I believe, won 4 Oscars.
It did. It did.
So
Should have won production design too, but
yeah,
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in
just
Wonderland.
That's like one of the worst wins of all time.
Good job,
That was
Mark
pretty
Johnson.
bad.
Yeah, literally
You're
the
welcome.
worst in that
Like it-
category.
I think it looks like his
Spike
most
Lee.
commercial movie in a very long time.
I really need to say this right now because I just want to say it publicly with so many prominent people so that you all can call me crazy. But this is
Crazy, yeah.
advocacy. I will say right now, straight up, this is advocacy. I really, really badly want Carey Mulligan to contend for Best Actress for Promising Young Woman. Like,
Yeah?
you guys have no idea how badly I want that to happen.
when was this movie? And you know,
It premiered at
What?
Sundance. It
Premiered at Sundance.
It's like at the
And then
cusp of coming out, right?
they're gonna drop it on streaming in like July, aren't they?
I hope so. They should.
I
It
don't
was
think
supposed
it's.
to come
I
out.
think it's undated at this point.
Yeah, I think it's
Megan-
update.
Yeah.
The Father, obviously, we're all. That's one that's like
That's
a
gonna
clear.
blow people away.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
best actor.
Can I ask a general like, best picture question?
No, can I just say that I'll just, interrupt very drunkenly to say that Matt's emotional connection to a movie, kind of matters. We can use that in our stats. He was very emotionally connected to Parasite, as were many people. I know Erik was too. So when Parasite won, it was a big deal. And so I think that, we could consider this Carey Mulligan situation.
I was also passionate about Toni Collette for Hereditary.
Yeah. Oh
We know- we
God.
know
Yeah.
how-
Michael and I almost
say.
shot him. So.
But she is
Take that as
Carey
you will.
Mulligan.
If we're gonna
Like,
talk
regarding Mulligan,
about personal connections, not ours though. What about somebody like Tom Hanks in News of the World? If that comes out, don't you think that he might have a tremendous amount of goodwill
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We talk
And
about
if-
that.
and if-
Eric,
if-
tell us what that movie is and what it's
Oh.
about and stuff, because I don't think I've heard of it.
I don't really know that much about it.
It's
It's
a
a
Western.
Western.
It's a
Western.
Paul Greengrass doing a Western. I think it's about the
Yeah.
Pony Express or something.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like
I like
kidnapped
it.
daughter, kind of like Liam Neeson in the Old West. But
Well, if you guys go to AwardsCircuit.com where you can look at the movie listing there, just saying, the synopsis reads: a Texan traveling across the Wild West, bringing the news of the world to local townspeople, agrees to help rescue a young girl who was kidnapped. Directed by Paul Greengrass.
Yeah.
Also, Hanks might, if it's even moderately good, benefits from the added goodwill of Greyhound, which Apple just shelled out 70 mil for. So,
Really, really, that's going to be goodwill.
Yeah, I don't know if that's goodwill.
Okay.
I also think we need to elephant in the room. We also need to talk about just these are all sight unseen, and we don't know if these movies are coming out.
Yeah.
We also don't know if there's even going to be an Oscars this year.
Yeah.
So,
and production has been screwed on Ridley Scott's Last Duel and Nightmare Alley.
Post-production also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Post-production
Skywalker Sound's closed.
And I spoke about this on the last on Award Circuit podcast, and where a lot of these films are getting tied up in post-production is the musical scores, because you have to do that. That's the last thing you do, and you can't have people record violins over here and pianos over here and then try to mix it together. It's impossible.
Yeah, Vangelis needs to make a comeback with all the synth.
Hey, can I ask you guys a
about
question?
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Yeah, Michael.
I obviously have not seen these films. Have you guys actually seen these films, or are these the films that are coming out?
I've seen some films at Sundance, like The Father, Promising Young Woman, Minari, but otherwise, no.
So,
Michael, this is just what we do.
And then COVID.
So
this is just what we
basically,
do.
what if the Academy decides to cancel the Oscars?
Well, it's possible.
What will happen to all these films?
They're
They'll
not
be
going
pushed to next. The Oscar will be pushed to next year.
Well,
Can we stop wishing that though?
They're not going to cancel it.
They've never canceled it.
If they don't,
pushed it back a tiny bit.
But the grand scenario is if they do decide to cancel the Oscars, I was under the impression that all the films that were coming out for 2020 will not be eligible for 2021 films.
They would amend
That
the
would
rules,
not make sense.
and it would,
they
it
would
be like the early years.
The
where they
first-
had
yeah,
Oscars.
the early
You
years
would
they
have
had
to change the rules.
The first 7 years
Wait.
of the
We need
Oscars.
one person at a time.
The
Let's
first
do
7
Dave.
years of the Oscars combined 2 years. So
Yeah.
if they were canceled, they would just combine 2020 and 2020.
Yeah, and
'Cause that would
they
be a
made
lot-
amendments for emergencies before in the 30s, so it's not like they
Right.
won't have a contingent plan for it.
So
The
that would
only
be
thing the
a lot
Academy
of
really
films.
cares about is the money. They want to get
Yeah,
paid.
so let's just say, to Nathaniel's point, they want to happen. So this isn't like a wish by any means. They definitely want to happen. Again,
Desperately.
it's going to be contingent upon the fall and what the fall.
Yeah, and people keep forgetting the Oscars are literally 10 months away still.
Well, the thing,
But they're in the middle of the winter.
The problem with that is that the Oscars almost have to call it either now or never, because you need to let studios know about what their spending plans are going to be for an award season. If they don't know, by August, whether they should spend this money or not, or whether they should shelve it, they almost have to call it early, or then they just happen.
So you won't sell them ads in October?
No, we will sell. We'll do it now. Well, I'm just saying, if let's just say a second wave did come of COVID in the fall, and then they're like, all right, we have to shut everything down again in October, then the studio spent all that money and aren't going to get anything from it for that season.
There's probably
Well, they could do a
films.
virtual Oscars.
Yeah, well, the Golden
For
Globes
who?
did that in 2008 when they had the writers' strike, and it's essentially a press conference. But I think in this case, they would
Don't
have
you-
talent come with pre-recorded videos, stuff like that, and they would still make it more of an event to make people.
But if there are no
They would
theaters
lose so
open in the
much money.
fall, if there are no theaters opened in November and December, is there an Oscar season? If nobody else can see them except for people who are in the Academy and the press, all streaming privately, is it really an Oscar season?
No,
Well, wouldn't they
that's
just put
that's
them
up
all
to the
on video
studios,
on
though.
demand?
They'd have to make the movies available to the public.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that? Why would they do that?
Well, I think it would largely be comprised of films that, like The Father, that from the start there was probably more interest in making them awards contenders and building prestige than there was in having massive box office revenue.
But
so something like
movies like The Father benefit from the Oscars. They get that movie bump and the box office bump from the Oscars. So if you don't have that ability to get the Oscar bump, there's no incentive for them to like.
Well, maybe you know you have to pay a shit ton to stream it, so it is eligible under the streaming rules, but then it doesn't get its actual in theater release until March 2021, and then it can benefit from Anthony Hopkins' Oscar.
Why do you even have an Oscar show if if the public can't see the movies? Isn't the whole point of the Oscars?
The amount of money that they've spent on it.
What we have to consider is that the reality is that people, for instance, you look at Bird Box, right? Like Bird Box, when it dropped on Netflix, like everybody watched it, millions of people. So they were kind of more invested in Bird Box than they were any of the Oscar movies that year. So I think we have to consider that more people can see it when it's streaming, but it also makes it different because it joins, I'm sorry, I'm very drunk. I drank too much, but it joins the kind of virtual water cooler conversation, which says we're gonna, talk about, what's wrong with this film? Like, what did it do wrong? What did it do right?
Sasha, you just mentioned Bird Box, and that's a Netflix movie, and only so many movies are going to go on Netflix. I don't think any movie that's available on VOD that you have to pay $20 to stream is going to cause that conversation.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I think too many people have fixated on like the Trolls World Tour money, but there's something to be said about family films and family entertainment that will get parents to spend $20.
I'll be very
curious to spend
see...
$20 on The Father and Promise. I mean, listen.
No, but they'll spend $20 on Mank. Absolutely, they'll spend $20.
But they don't have to.
They don't have to. Netflix. It'll be on Netflix. Yeah.
It's about
and also Trolls is not a huge success.
Like if we rewind this back to last year, let's just pretend this was happening last year. Parasite doesn't make the money.
Whose audio is that in the back?
He has to mute.
It sounds like some kind of like Jerry Springer Family Fight craziness.
Wait a
I'm
second.
losing it here.
We have to stop and appreciate Uggy.
It's hilarious. Didn't he die?
So sweet. He did, yeah. Very sad. Perfect.
R.I.P.
From I Am Legend is still alive. It's old as fuck, but it is still alive and happy. So that's
Ogie did so much coke during that award season. It was horrible.
Stop. He did not.
So the point I was making is that if it happened last year, Parasite doesn't make the money it makes.
No.
Get an Oscar bump. If all that's happening last year.
No,
and people don't mean Bong Joon-ho either.
Wait, in some fairness, Mark Johnson and I had a conversation earlier this week when we were talking when the news first dropped about it could be postponed. And Mark Johnson made a very good point. He's like,
news.
What would award season?
News.
That was not news.
That was not news. That was clickbait.
That was the most bullshit article of the year.
Whatever it was.
You really think so?
Yeah,
Mark Johnson.
There was no sourcing. There was nothing.
For people who are advocating for it, who placed that story in Variety.
Yeah,
it was.
You really think that's true?
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Listen, I think there's a little. I think there's probably I think they want to happen. There's a conversation, but I don't think it's like set in stone. But Mark Johnson made a really good point earlier this week. He said, like, this is a great opportunity for the Oscars to like be pure in a season. What if there wasn't campaigning? What if you didn't get to schmooze with all of them? What if they just voted for the movies they saw and liked? What would a nomination slate look like?
But what if the public doesn't see those movies?
No,
that's the problem.
David, point taken, point granted, 100%. But I'm talking about from us perspective, who always harp on the Academy for not getting it right and for like not expanding their horizons. If you take out if you make a, lack of a better term, campaign finance reform, like in a way this season,
well,
Clayton,
I think
let's see what the Emmy nominations look like.
Yeah, I just talked to someone who was saying like how hyped they were about all the new opportunities you get with like not having to do in-person events, but instead you do it remotely and see how they can do that. I mean, it's going to be the same kind of chicanery that they always have,
right?
You know, but to your point, Clayton, it doesn't change the fact that whether it's last year or this year, voters are going to have a stack of screeners, the last year of screeners, and they still have to decide what they want to see.
Sure.
So it won't.
But there won't be that added like, oh, it won the TIFF People's Choice Award and it went to Telluride and the Telluride said it's all that, like, because listen, we do contribute to the noise of like, hey, Mank is the one that like is the early front runner that you should make time for, you know, despite if it's good or not, and we have no knowledge about it yet. So I'm just from a purist perspective, I think it would be interesting to see what this season would look like if there wasn't like the parties at Middleburg or the parties at Telluride. I agree. That just look to
the Emmys. Look to the
Emmys.
Emmys.
Will be a really good
People have been home for months. People have been home for months watching TV.
Yep.
So if anything is going to become more pure, it will be the Emmy nominations.
Yeah, I can attest to that in a way that has been very unusual because TV season's never been like a huge for me, but because there are no events, I get probably 10 interview requests every couple of days, and I have like 30 like high profile interviews for Emmy season, and that never really kind of come my way in the same way.
Because everyone's looking for exposure any way they can.
And that's the only thing they have. So that's look to that for the Oscar season is a fuck ton of goddamn interviews.
Yeah. So also people don't necessarily people watch interviews, but they don't necessarily watch. My thing is that the whole thing of there being kind of there's a limited amount of time to watch shows. People have actually had a chance to watch whatever they hear about. So people are watching, what is it? Not unreligious. What is that thing on Netflix?
Unorthodox.
Unorthodox. People watch that more, no doubt.
Unorthodox.
Emmy members than normally would during the middle of the heat of the season because they hear about it, not because it's being promoted so much. And I think you're going to see
interview with Shara Haas coming on Monday. So
right. So we don't see a lot of change in the Emmy season. We see the same 5 shows, the same 10 shows. Then we're going to know maybe it doesn't matter. But to me, none of this is relevant until you get to what is the point of the Academy Awards. And if you can't share it with an audience, if you don't have at least 2 of the fall months where there are movie theaters open, I don't think there's any reason for the Academy Awards this year.
But I have to disagree. I have to disagree. The whole point of awards, and I really need to say this, the whole point of awards is snapshots of what is happening culturally at a given time in a given year.
Truth.
And so if you just skip, it's been
since always.
Never.
No, since
always
always.
About promotion. Always
so
about
like,
promotion.
David, you're totally wrong.
But
ever been about anything
let me finish. So like even like people keep saying there's not enough movies or whatever. Like nowadays there's about 400 movies that are or 300 something that are eligible each year. They used to only literally release 100 movies a year.
Yeah.
And they still had Oscars. So we still have plenty of art. It's just like you're supposed to be taking a snapshot of the time, and that's the idea of an institution that's annual.
Who told you that, though?
He's right. He's totally right.
David, you could look at winners like Platoon and Deer Hunter and like all those and find what's happening in America at the time when those films win Best Picture. Like
I'm not saying films are cultural. I'm just saying that the
point of the Academy Awards have always they tend to, and not every single time, but they do tend to reflect it becomes an encapsulation of the year, the nominees, and even so what doesn't get nominated. Like 2008, All for What It Is will always be the year that Dark Knight didn't get nominated for Best Picture, but you can totally get a snapshot of that year, and it catapulted into 2009 of a straight 10 year.
It's a very limited snapshot of the year in cinema. Always. It has never been this expansive thing. It's always you're always starting September with 30 films, maybe 40 films that have any shot whatsoever out of hundreds and hundreds of films that have been seen.
Well,
David, and it always has this limitation.
Well, David, would you agree that Parasite reflects our time, like, and where we are in 2019?
I'm not saying the films aren't reflective of our time, and I think once the season is set, then within that there are structures that happen. But the reality is the season is set by the system. The system is set. The system knows what's going to be nominated before the September film festival.
You don't think there's any bearing on anything else outside of those 30 films? Because I would say Silence of the Lambs that opened up in February 1991, like catapulted the entire year of 1991 to be the last big five that we had. I think it's not just always preordained. Sometimes it's
but even if it were always preordained, like, I think people are missing the point. It's like you can't be an institution if you just take years off randomly.
Yeah,
like it's like an annual piece of like cultural art history. Like you can't.
But
just
the culture is shut down. The problem is the culture's
then there is
Right,
no
right.
greater
I'm gonna
example
time out.
than to represent this year, which is so heavily impacted. Whatever is nominated this year and eligible and wins, even if it has an asterisk next to it, it's going to be something that we talk about for the rest of our lives.
Okay, so
there's a cultural impact.
Yes, I agree with you. I want to take this thing in a different direction. I want to
Is
ask
David gone?
everybody,
Oh, there. He moved.
what
Everyone's
is
moving
your-
around.
Wait, where did Clayton go?
He's still there. He just
He's
turned
here.
his video off.
All right. So I want to ask everybody, what is your favorite Oscar year and
Oh, wow.
why?
Very
And what
good
is your
question.
least favorite Oscar year and why? So let's start with you, Matt. What's your favorite? If you guys are down with this, if you want to keep.
I have to bounce,
yeah.
by the way. I'm supposed to cook my parents' tri-tip tonight. So,
Oh,
uh,
Do you want to do this?
Do your
round,
parents
or
not
do
know
you
how to
wanna-
cook?
No, I've been
Oh
there.
my
I've
God.
literally been their cook. They haven't used our kitchen since like 2010. So like,
Postmates. Call
yeah.
Postmates
So
for 'em.
I've been like their live-in chef, and that's how I'm justifying my keep here. I'm a very good cook, and there's lots of barbecue I make too. So
Yeah, we've
love
seen your
it.
pictures.
Yeah.
yeah.
so
Here I keep seeing my
Let's
meat
let's
pictures.
do this round, and then if you want, you can exit. Otherwise,
So
you
cool,
can,
you're not letting him leave. I love it.
I don't want him to.
I know.
There's no
Okay,
will.
so Matt, let's
Yeah.
hear up. Let's see. What's your favorite Oscar year and why? And what's your least favorite Oscar year and why?
Well, my favorite Oscar year probably hasn't happened yet in reality, but so far it was
Come on.
definitely last year because Parasite was one of my favorite films of the decade. I thought it was a perfect movie in every way. It felt so great to be able to champion that so early and push it all the way through. It was also a big year for me personally, and just getting kind of like entrenched a little bit more. So I've definitely felt a lot of like growth there. I met a lot of you for the first time last year. So I feel like last year for me, like really just holds a very special place in my heart. And then I would say my least favorite year was actually probably the year before, if I'm being completely honest. And I know that might be cliche to say, but it was very, very toxic, and it was really draining trying to have meaningful conversations about the Oscar year when all anybody wanted to do was shit on the Oscar movies, Vice, Bohemian, Green Book. And it just became like ugly on social media, and it like started to like negatively like impact me a lot. And I was trying my best to like kind of steer the conversation in a better route, but it was brutal. And I think that was also before, like I said, all the good stuff that happened last year for both from my site, for me personally, for my team, things that I could feel very proud of. We hadn't really like achieved those milestones yet. So that was probably like the hardest year, I would say, for me so far.
I get you. Okay, Megan, what's your favorite Oscar year and why?
I've
Doesn't
been thinking
involve
about this. I feel like this is going to be weird. So I probably think my least favorite was when I was a kid. I remember waking up for school and NBC would have like the Oscar nominations, and I think it was like maybe 90. I remember In the Name of the Father was named a lot. That's all I remember. So it was probably 94.
93.
And I think the only reason why I hated that year is because I wanted my movie that came out like 2 years prior, The Cutting Edge, to be nominated. Really upset.
Justice for DB Sweeney.
Some
Let's
DB
go.
Sweeney love.
Good job, Megan.
I was so mad.
That's so
and that's when I
cute.
first like,
Justice for Maura Kelly. Very good.
Yes,
Megan.
thank
Thank you.
But I think my favorite is probably, and this is kind of weird, but it was the year that Slumdog won, even though I'm not a huge fan of that movie, but the movies that came out that year were so good. Like Milk, The Visitor, Frost Nixon, The Wrestler, Doubt. Like Rachel Getting Married, The Reader, Revolutionary Road. There were just so many great Happy Go Lucky, which is a personal favorite.
Wally.
There were just so many amazing movies that year. So I think that's probably my favorite year, even though my favorites didn't like. It was like a Slumdog. You know, they had a lot of awards that year.
8 Oscars.
That was the year that was the year my good friend David Carr quit the Oscars. He was like, I can't do this again. He's like, he called me early and he's like, what's going to happen now? I says, well, Slumdog Millionaire is going to start winning stuff and it's not going to stop. And he's like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. He's like, I can't do it if like one movie's going to win everything. Because his first year, I think, was the Crash year. And so that was an exciting year. But then once
we've never had a year like that since.
Well,
Like,
the Slumdog year represented a really big shift in all of this because it was a late season buy from a festival.
Yep.
And absolutely came out and like destroyed. And there hadn't been exactly that level of that at that point. And then from then, that was the blueprint for the next decade and a half of what it takes to get nominated, get the buzz, Telluride, because that was the beginning of Telluride right there.
Yeah.
And it just, that paved the way all the way through just a couple of years ago.
I don't think that was a shift. I don't think I had anything to do with Slumdog. Like Slumdog, I think was pretty standard operating procedure for Oscar. I think it was all like the year was the point I was making before. It's not usually about what wins, it's about what didn't. Like Dark Knight had more of an impact on the 2008 Oscars than even Slumdog got swept.
I wouldn't say Slumdog.
It had impact on the next year, not the year that it was in.
So we can say all we want about like Slumdog, being like a stereotypical feel good story, but in terms of like standard Oscar fare, it almost went straight to DVD. Has huge actors,
its Inception
non-white
story
cast.
is unique, but when you look at like the slate of that year, I don't think it really like is an outlier of like winners of the past.
But,
like,
I guess what I mean is
different.
I guess it speaks to sort of to what David was talking about earlier, that without the benefit of Telluride and the kickoff of Festival Buzz, it would never have been able to win and get the box office that it did. But that was a real kickoff of festivals having impact on the season, and in my memory of watching this since I was a child.
Well, the funny thing is, I think that wasn't the year where it changed. I think Searchlight changed it with Juno when they went to Telluride and intentionally did it that way. I think that Slumdog was a situation where they had bought it from Warner Brothers, who didn't want it, and they kind of slung it into Telluride, and it got such. It's true, they got such good buzz out of Telluride that it moved to Toronto, and when it hit Toronto, that's when that thing blew up, and you knew it was an Oscar movie, because right going into Toronto was kind of shocking, the idea that people were saying it was an Oscar movie out of Telluride. But in Toronto, it got its legs. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but the whole thing has changed again since then, I think. So
yeah.
All right, Erik, what's your favorite Oscar year and why? And what's your least favorite Oscar year and why?
These are very, very easy for me. Although I will echo most of Matt's comments that the Parasite winning and the whole season of that and what it meant was super important and wonderful and exciting. And I mean, for me, it was the best season that I've had as AwardsWatch by a long shot. So it's, I'm always grateful and thankful, but I also work my ass off, and we all work our asses off to do what we're doing and the thing that we really love doing, and hope that we can earn a living doing it. And so it was beneficial, and it was just one of my favorite wins of all time. But my all-time favorite is, and will always probably be, Moonlight. There's going to be nothing else that tops it.
Mark.
Yeah, mute yourself, Mark, right now.
Listen, it was in my top 10 of the decade. It just wasn't my number one of the decade.
That's fine. That's fine. But I mean, not just because it was my favorite movie and because I have a connection to it, and it was a cultural moment. Again, part of the conversation we were having before. La La Land could have gone kind of all the way through, and we had a political season that was a huge upset as well. And I think it altered people's mindset a bit as to what they wanted to celebrate and represent. And the great thing about it is that the top two movies were the top two movies of the year anyway. It wasn't like you were choosing between a lesser movie to make a social point. It was the best reviewed movie of the year. It was my favorite movie of the year. And even removed from the personal element of it, I'm just really always wrapped up and captured by what the season gives us. And when we're able to see a turn happen, I know you did, Sasha, at the very end. I did at the very end too. And part of it was hope dicting, but part of it was feeling a difference and feeling something happening. So when that does happen, I love that. I love those years anytime. On the flip side of that, without question, will always be the Crash and Brokeback year.
Oh yeah.
Because
Brutal.
I've been watching the Oscars since I was 5 years old and making my list and predictions and watching it with my mom and just obsessing over it and loving it. And at least at that time, I was a ride or die stats guy. So there was nothing like really realistically getting in the way of Brokeback winning, despite the editing miss. I was like, okay, we can overlook that because it's happened once before. It's fine. And it was the year that broke me from my love of the Oscars and watching and being a part of it. Like physically broke me. Somebody took a picture of me the moment after, and it's horrible to look at because it was such a gut punch of a moment. There was a moment, like, you know, Will said too, where we're able to look at things from a cultural standpoint of where we are. And I was looking at this going, oh my God, there is a representation and an acceptance here that we have not seen before. And I'm so excited to get to this point. And then it didn't happen. And I get emotional, like really emotional thinking about it now. And it was 15 years ago because it was just so many gay kids watch the Oscars when they're really, really young. And they had this great, great moment to feel that. And they didn't get it. And we had to wait 15 years for it to happen. And it was just like, it was indescribable. And it totally transcended an Oscar show and campaigning and anything else. So
that's, you know what, that's beautiful. And I was going to say that my least favorite year was The Social Network losing to King's Speech, but I have to admit that the Crash year was unlike anything I've ever lived through and probably ever will again. I actually had a guy write me and say he was considering suicide that night. And the only thing that kept him from suicide was our community. And so it was the only time where I felt like, you know what, you're doing like something good for the world, that you're providing people a chance to mourn and feel bad, and you can provide comfort. And that's the only time really, you know, we've had our like, you know, Lord of the Rings lost or whatever, but Brokeback was a different thing. It was a different thing. And I still to this day don't think that, I mean, I'm not gonna like, I don't remember at the time that people hated Crash as much as they did, but I think that it's really embarrassing when you look back at what a great movie Brokeback was, that it didn't win. But that's the Academy, you know, that they have so many films that deserve to win that didn't. Citizen Kane, of course, being one of them. But How Grim Was My Valley is also good. It's not like it's a bad. Crash isn't a bad movie. It's just that it's not
Wow.
great.
Oh, that's a good movie.
I wanted to say,
It's a really
bad movie.
See, and that's what Oscar history tends to do. It's never about like it's about what it beat, and that movie gets crapped on for all time.
For sure.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, and this may be super controversial, I don't really have a least favorite year like that. Like there are some like not my favorite films win. And I think, and this coming from a guy who obviously loves movies more than people know, but film is subjective. And I heard Phil Alden Robinson say it the best in the Oscars documentary when they talk about, they always ask, you know, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you nominate this? Or why didn't you pick this? He was like, easy. A bunch of people came together and then they voted and then it didn't win. Like,
exactly. No, that's
it's a
it.
math game.
You have to remember that it's about the Academy and what they like, and it's a consensus vote, and it's never going to be what the critics like. And I mean, every so often, but it's never going to be, you know. But let me just close this out by saying my favorite win by far was The Departed when it finally won, because I'd been sort of sitting out Martin Scorsese for The Aviator, and I really wanted to see him win an Oscar, and that by far it continues to be my absolute favorite year that it won. I just felt such a degree of satisfaction. I loved the movie. I was happy to see him win after I'd been kind of advocating for him for so long. And also that this is sad and petty and weird, but like I knew it was going to win early. And so even though, you know, Little Miss Sunshine came along and, you know, other movies potentially threatened it, Letters from Iwo Jima and Flags of Our Fathers, the fact that it won, I thought, like, to me, that was the moment when it aligned perfectly with my own personal taste. And it's the only time it really has. But yeah, so that's me. Okay, Nathaniel, you're up next.
Can I go? Because I really need to get out of here.
Yes, sorry. Yes, go ahead.
I keep getting passive aggressive texts from my parents. So I think while there's like individual moments I've loved from a couple of the past years, like the Moonlight and the Moonlight and Director Bong winning moments individually are just like all timers for me. But I think there was something special about Oscar seasons when I was younger and I didn't quite know how the sausage was made as much that made them more enjoyable. So I would say I haven't enjoyed any season since I don't know, like 2013, 2014 as much as I did when I was younger. However, since I started really getting into how everything goes, I think the sheer clusterfuck of 2015 was so much fun to watch because, like, you know, I think I thought it was Spotlight all through the fall. Totally did not see Mad Max being a big contender coming until like December, really. Then it just gets this massive critics wave. Still think, oh, it can't beat Spotlight. And then SAG is just bizarre. And like Big Short, which didn't get great reviews out of AFI, suddenly comes out of nowhere. Then it wins PGA. And then like The Revenant comes in strong. And so I thought that was just from a sheer, I didn't even especially love any of those films. I just loved the spectacle of genuinely not knowing who of the three films would win. And I thought that was really cool. I think just in terms of not fun to watch, The Artist Year, incredibly boring. You know,
that's
just
mine.
like literally the artist was ordained from the start and nothing ever stood a chance. So
awful.
Brutal.
Yeah.
That is
All right, guys,
mine.
I do have to head out.
Sasha,
Thank you
Bye,
for
Will.
putting this together.
I will. Hey, buddy. Take care.
Nice to see you. Okay,
Have
so Nathaniel, you're up next.
A lot of the good answers were already taken, but I just want to say one thing because we're talking about like when our personal tastes align, and Sasha, I totally agree with you. That's very rare that happens. So the years that I tend to enjoy most are years where a lot of things I like really enjoy are nominated. So to me, a really magical year was 2001, even though I didn't like the win. Even though I didn't like the win, like everything else was so strong, like Lord of the Rings and Moulin Rouge, and it was just even stuff that missed was so like exciting, like Royal Tenenbaums, and it was just like a very magical film year.
That was a fun year, yeah.
And then the Oscars themselves, even though almost nobody that I wanted to won, it was still such exciting history making, night. it was just a really, really cool year. And if it's so rare that something that you love most is going to take the top prize, that for me, as long as the year feels mythic and magical throughout and a lot of like good stuff is involved, then I'm generally very happy with the
Boom.
Oscars.
Love that answer.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Erik basically told my life story with his worst year ever. That was brutal. I never want to go through that again.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It took so long to come out of it. It was like I was in a fugue state.
I think the most more so than Brokeback losing was the fact that it proved all those people right, like Ernest Borgnine and Tony Curtis, and like not RIP to them, like they're right
And they're dead. Fuck you, bitches.
So like that was the most painful, was like them being able to spew that hatred all season long, and then them getting the last word.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about we should acknowledge about the Brokeback year from a stats perspective, it's like it was 1917 versus Parasite. Like Parasite followed the Crash trajectory, but it's actually, you know, a masterpiece. So it's like great that it won. But Crash was a favorite of the people. If you can go back and read David Carr's interview with the New York Times about why he chose Crash, he was one of the few people that picked. David Poland, did you pick Crash to win? I can't remember. Or were you?
Yeah, I knew Crash. There were a bunch of people who knew Crash was winning as of January.
You knew. Okay, I figured. Yeah, I remember that you knew it was going to win. I know Ebert was very defensive of Crash. He really loved it.
It was his number one movie of the year.
Roger and I had a lot of conversations about it because it was right actually before he stopped being able to talk, sadly. But yeah, Roger it was not just about him liking the movie. He was right about the culture of the. I'll say more about it when it's my turn, but.
Okay, let me just say that about that, just to finish up, that David Carr said that what he felt that at that time the Academy was interested in, which they kind of continued with Green Book. They were more interested in kind of what they thought as race relations than what was right in front of them, which was this beautiful revolutionary film, Brokeback Mountain, which will always stand the test of time and will always be remembered, sadly, much more than Crash. It's an incredible film and it's a masterpiece, but we don't expect the Academy to always, you know, the Parasite win was unusual, Moonlight as well. These are unusual wins for them. Like they tend to go with the more popular choice. It's a consensus vote. It's thousands of people, a lot of actors involved. So the actors really loved Crash. And that's really what drove its win, I think. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, the Oscars are sometimes like a really shitty boyfriend. Sometimes he'll give you a Moonlight and a Parasite, and you're like, "Oh my God, he's the best! Everybody, I love him so much."
No, that's
and then most of the time it's Crash, and then it's like, "Fuck you."
Do you remember Nathaniel's piece about? Remember Nathaniel, your piece about the abusive relationship you have? With
That was what I was feeling that year. Was just I got a lot of attention for that piece, but it was just
so good.
I did not enjoy writing it, is the thing, because I really did feel like it was an abusive relationship. I felt like the Academy was like crapping on their biggest fan base. But
that's why I said that, because of
but I realized that that's not what that wasn't in their heads at all. I realized that.
No,
it wasn't personal. They weren't thinking about that.
No, but I love that you put it that way. And I every year I think of that piece that you wrote and that point that you made. Every single year I think that, because it is so true. I've been in abusive relationships, and I know you're always kind of hoping that they're going to change, you know.
Yes.
But,
they buy you flowers once and it takes care of like a year of bullshit.
All right, Michael Schwartz, you're up next.
Sasha, can I say something first?
Yeah.
You skipped me.
No, I'm going by my grid.
Oh, okay.
We're on a different grid.
Okay. We all have different portrait modes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Michael's next on my list. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my grid, so.
I already know what Michael's going to say.
We'll see about that. You may not. I've been following, or I'm going to focus on the years that I've been following the Oscar race, not the years where I would just watch as a casual viewer. The years where I really would go out of my way to see all the movies, not just the Best Picture nominees, but everything down to sound mixing and sound editing and documentary short, where I knew what was really going on below the line. So of those years, I would say my favorite is actually 2012, because that's where I really got more in depth as someone who understood the state of the race and how things were put together, rather than just being the casual viewer who would see, oh, here are the best picture nominees and here are the best actor or actress nominees. I studied the state of the race from, everything that we see from the guilds and the precursors, and just the roller coaster that season was. We started off before the festivals thinking it was going to be Lincoln or Les Mis, one of the bigger titles.
Right.
And then we started the roller coaster of Argo, and then maybe it's Silver Linings, maybe it's Life of Pi. And then at the end of the day, it was indeed Argo, sort of back to where we were early on. But just looking at that slate of Best Picture, it was 9 nominees. I don't think there's a dull one in the bunch. And you can say what you will about Les Mis, it's not a perfect film by any means, but I don't think there's a bad movie among that bunch.
Clayton's
and sort of
favorite film of that year.
What was that?
It's Clayton's favorite film of that year. I always remembered that.
I own it.
It represents, I think, just what the Academy membership looks like. You have something for everyone in that lineup. And then when you get to something like Best Director, you have surprises like Ben Zeitlin or Michael Haneke getting in. It just represents, every branch doing what we recognize them for doing over the years. You get your populist films in there for Best Picture, but then you also let the director's branch be a little artsier and do what they want to do.
And a tie in sound editing.
Yeah, of course. Who forgot that the last time?
That's so weird.
Yeah, presented by Ted nonetheless, which is even stranger. But it was just a really interesting season, and I remember seeing all those movies week after week. It was always something good, even if it was something like Cloud Atlas, which didn't get nominations. Still a wonderful movie in itself. So you look at everything that we had in fall of 2012, and of course, we had the re-election of Barack Obama, which was like, the cherry on top of it all that year. And I just remember it feeling like a great year for movies, and I love seeing the Academy recognize all those great titles to some extent.
Love that. That's so great. That's like ideal what the Oscars represent to me. Like if people could see it that way, I think that we'd have a much better position in the world at large if people saw it that way. I think that's very positive.
Yeah, I thought it was really special. And of course, we saw wonderful years like 2013 right after, and going a few years back to 2008, 2009. There have been wonderful Oscar years, but this one I think really was just the epitome of what I think they do well.
Yeah.
Least favorite year, I didn't hate this year by any means, but just in recent memory, it was my least favorite of them, and that would be 2018 for a few reasons that Matt was saying before. But just the love fest of Bohemian Rhapsody getting those 4 wins and best editing, I will never, ever understand.
Ever.
Yeah.
I don't get that one either, but
There are people who tell me that Bohemian Rhapsody was the number 2 behind Green Book for Best Picture.
Top 5. It was definitely up there, I think, after 4 wins of 5 nominations.
Everybody's guessing.
I'll never get that, but we can't bully my friend Michael who loved that movie. Okay, so Shadon, you're next. Listen, she's going to be like, my favorite
I'm
Oscar
not
year
bullying
was
anybody.
No, I get you. I totally get you. But
Okay, so actually, Sasha, my first year that I remember the Oscars.
Like, I remember when I was an adult in like 2012.
No, I was gonna say one of my favorite ever Oscar memories is like Roberta Benigni like walking on people's heads, because I was like 4 years old and I thought it was the most.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
She was 4 years old.
Yeah,
I was like, trying to like get out of a bankruptcy. Like.
No, my favorite memory, or my favorite one, and this is so controversial, people are gonna hate me, but 2017, I love The Shape of Water. That movie,
Yay!
And I will always fight for it being a worthy winner. Like, I adore that movie. Also, by that point, I was like following
that
all
movie.
of you in the podcast and everything. Like, I love that movie. And those are mine too.
What's your least favorite?
I don't think I haven't been following them long enough.
I was like 5 last year, so
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
maybe
too young to know hate.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't even seen Crash because I'm like, I don't want to watch. Yeah, I don't really have one.
You're not really.
I'm happy for you, actually. I think that's a really healthy way to be. If you don't have that like awful year that you lived through, I mean, my readers know that like I have these horrible meltdowns, and I have them every year. Sorry about that. So it seems like every year is my worst year, but I'm happy for you that you don't have that.
No, but can I just say,
just when
like,
Fincher loses.
Yeah, just
yeah,
when
one
Gone
of the
Girl's up
things
for
that
Oscars.
makes me really sad is like when you guys are super jaded about the Oscar race, because I feel, and this is, I'm basically the human equivalent of a Hallmark card. Like, I'm a very cheesy person, but like I follow all of you, and like you guys make me so happy. Like Erik knows, I'm like obsessed with this Twitter feed, and I like read it when I'm having a bad day. So it makes me so sad when you guys are like jaded about it, because I'm like, people actually like read your stuff and enjoy it, and like following this stuff with you guys. So I think
I'm sorry about that. I mean,
no, it's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think you guys realize because you're in it, but like people actually read it and enjoy it and like are you know, does that I don't know. I drank a lot.
I love you, Shadon. I think you're just the greatest thing. I
love you too, but like I'm just saying, don't be jaded about it, because people love following you guys, and like you're in it as long as you are for a reason. Like I don't know. Keep going, don't give up is my point.
I love it. My daughter is almost 22. She'll be 22 on Monday. So you remind me of her. You're like 5 years old yesterday. No, thank you. Okay, Jalal, you're next.
Yeah, Jalal.
You're also muted.
Uh-oh.
He's
Jalal,
like,
you're
can you
muted.
hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hold it closer to your mouth.
That's what she said.
Well done, Sasha.
I think the most painful Oscar year was a year I was not even around for, but it was the year The Color Purple went home with nothing.
Oh.
But I think the worst Oscar year is, it was already mentioned, was it 2011? Was that The Artist?
The Artist, yeah.
And I think The Artist is a worthy Best Picture winner because it was the best film in a crop of terrible nominees. I think that year is so boring.
Yeah, I'm with Hugo Tim there. So,
but I was thinking on like my favorite years, and I have like favorite moments. Like I think it's really magical that Beast of the Southern Wild came out of nowhere and did all that. I think I've been really nostalgic for like good years in like the early 2000s. The year, and I don't even love The Departed, but the year of The Departed, there were things like Little Miss Sunshine, and there was Notes on a Scandal, and there was Babel, and there was the Jennifer Hudson story, and I just missed
Queen.
Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes, that was such a good year.
I just think that was a magical year, and I think
The Prestige, The Savages. Oh no, that was I think
Love it. That's
2007.
so great. You guys are making me love the Oscars again.
I hope
That's
so.
what we're here
what it
for.
should be
That's
doing.
hopefully what we do. That's hopefully
what it
what we do,
does.
right, Shadon?
Yes. That was the point I was trying to make, but I was not articulate about it. Thank you.
No, you were. You absolutely
You said it right, Shadon.
Look at.
Yeah.
Cutting edge. Love
Okay,
it.
so Jalal, we have to go back to that French restaurant and like shoot the shit sometime. That was
Oh
so
my God. Only if we invite that drunk woman that ignored her daughter.
Remember, she was so mean. She kept looking over at you. But we'll do that again because that was
I'm very
super fun.
curious
We'll
about
invite
this
David-
story now.
We'll invite David Poland and Michael, whoever's in LA. Okay. Marshall Flores, you're up. What's your favorite?
Okay,
year?
so I'm gonna. I mean, I have to. I'm gonna go with worst first because there's. But yeah, my worst is pretty much the same as Nathaniel's and Erik's. 2005, the Brokeback year. I mean, yeah, what can I say about that? I mean, I love. I was really anticipating that movie when it was announced with Ang Lee, because I love Ang Lee, and then I love Annie Proulx as an author as well already, and then Larry McMurtry was doing this was adapting, and I actually have a personal connection to it because I was in school in Tucson. I was around 2005, 2006, and there was a new independent theater, a small art theater that opened up in Tucson called The Loft. That was financially struggling for a little bit, but then they snagged a screening of Brokeback Mountain right in the middle of award season in January 2006, and I managed to get tickets for that. And then both Larry McMurtry and Diana Sana came down to promote it, so I got to see them and watch also see the movie, and I fell in love with it. I thought I was going to sweep everything just because how transcendent it was, how revolutionary it was. And I really thought Heath Ledger should have went all the way. Is it winning Best Actor that year? And of course nothing away from Philip Seymour Hoffman, who
take it away.
who was. I have to be gracious because he's dead too. So, but I really thought Heath should have won everything for that. And and that actually was my best predicting year to this point too, because I got 21 out of 24, and the three the three categories I missed were things I thought Brokeback would win as well. Best Supporting Actor for Gyllenhaal, Best Cinematography, and then Best Picture. So those were the only three I missed. But yeah, that was watching Jack Nicholson. Was it read that envelope?
Whoa!
Crash! Yeah, no, that still stings, and I still consider that a Black Sunday. But you know, if there's one thing good,
Black Sunday, I love it.
yeah, one thing that good came out of it is that I discovered AwardsWatch, or as a Oscar Watch, a little known site.
AwardsWatch.
Yeah, not AwardsWatch, Oscar Watch. I discovered Oscar Watch in my lull a few days afterwards while I was trying to cope with like Crash winning. So discovered Oscar Watch, and some guy I thought it was a guy at first named Sasha Stone.
Same.
Yeah. So and I know that goes for a lot of people too, because you know you were kind of considered to be a great Garbo among Oscar experts, Sasha, back then. So
it's called mysterious. Social anxiety disorder.
So that was my worst, and I, even 15 years later, with some, times the great thickener of things, I still think Crash is, I mean, it has good intentions behind it. There's some good moving scenes, but I still think it's one of the worst Best Picture winners ever. But
well, I think what happened with that was people just didn't watch Brokeback, and I feel like with Parasite, I feel like it was headed for that same. It was headed for that same sort of fate, but I think people watched it, and once they watched it, they were like, "Wow, this is really good." But I think that people have this fear. They had this fear of watching Brokeback. They thought, "Oh, I can't watch two men fall in love." But I think if you watch it now, you see it's an unequivocal masterpiece.
I think there was just as much concept and idea of social progress in the 2006 voters for Crash as the 2020 voters for Parasite or 2018 voters for Moonlight.
I agree.
I think it's the same, because you're talking about different groupings of people.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't think that the majority voted against Brokeback as much as they thought that Crash was like, okay, here's a modern story about race that we can get behind. And there's a lot of, white privilege, white saviorism, and all that behind it too, to feel good about voting for it. But I think the intentions were positive and not negative. And I can
certainly the Oprah narrative, wasn't it?
I can say that, yeah, Oprah and Ebert, and there was a lot of
and Siskel even.
Yeah, there was a lot of push behind it.
No, not Siskel. The other guy, Roper.
Yeah, the Chicago. Yeah, Chicago was basically the only.
Yeah, I can
major
see
critics group that gave it the Best Picture for Brokeback. So.
It was an interesting moment in time,
yeah.
But okay. Mark,
but my good years were basically, I'm gonna go with the next two. So I didn't get asked this last time we met, when what got you into the Oscars, and mine, it's kind of like a riff on Sasha's. I mean, she got in because of basically wondering why Citizen Kane lost Best Picture. Mine was, why didn't Martin Scorsese? Yes, but mine was like, why hasn't Martin Scorsese ever won an Oscar ever? So yeah, The Departed year, when that, I was really rooting for him and Departed, and I just watched it the other day. Is it on cable, and it still holds up pretty well.
Oh yeah.
And those Boston accents are still delicious, are still so fun.
Delicious is a great word. That's the perfect word.
Yeah. That's still my favorite moment I've seen. Where I could really remember. I mean, I remember watching When Silence of the Lambs Swept, and that was great too. But really understanding what happened, and like all the history with his prior history of the Oscars, watching Martin Scorsese go on that stage, surrounded by Spielberg, George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola, and being so gracious, and the standing ovation as well. That was a really great moment, and The Departed, winning also. And that was a great year too, because I also really loved Letters from Iwo Jima as well. And that I thought that was way better than $1 Million Baby. I still think that's a high watermark for Clint Eastwood. And then the next year as well, we had the Coens and No Country for Old Men. And as soon as that was
another
it, I saw
great year. Yeah.
As soon as I saw that in, I think, October, I thought that was going to win the Best Picture, and it did pretty easily as well. So. watching the
Yeah.
Coens, watching the Coens triumph as well. Just two
I just-
really great years. So
Yeah, no, it was the 2006, 2007, and 2009 with Slumdog in there. That was like a really beautiful kind of moment in Oscar history where darker movies won Best Picture.
mhm.
Not Slumdog, obviously, but the other three are unusual. And then once Obama was in power, we just had these feel-good movies, and really, Moonlight is a feel-good movie. It has to be said. It is a feel-good movie. But also, last year's Parasite. I mean, I don't think people realize how groundbreaking that win was. If you know Oscar history, you know that. But the fact that it was a downer ending could be heralding sort of another wave of the 70s where these like darker movies with darker endings won.
But a beautiful downer ending.
Agreed.
No, it is. But there's no
Beautiful.
denying that it is a dark, hopeless, sad ending. You can't deny that about Parasite. It's not an uplifting ending. It's a very sad thing,
And speaking of Bong, I finally watched Snowpiercer the other day.
Oh,
as
that's
well. Yeah, no, and that was really great too. I mean, it takes a little bit to get going, but then like in like typical Bong fashion, it just like goes on a different wavelength, and then it goes on a different frequency, and then
don't watch the TV show.
So and that also has a very kind of downer-ish ending, was it a bit? But then it's still it's still very beautifully shot as well. So
it's such a good movie.
I tell you one thing about Bong Joon-ho, he's never going to lie to you. He's always going to tell you the truth, that humanity is fucked up and that the world is fucked up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but he's also the funniest and most charming, one of the most
he
funny
is,
people I've ever met in my life.
Right.
Ever.
He's a very truthful artist. He's not going to
He dedicated his Best Director speech to all the other nominees.
I
And
know,
got Martin
I
Scorsese a
know.
standing ovation.
was
It was
incredible.
amazing.
I know. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
When I want to feel good, I watch his Oscar speech. It's amazing.
No, he's great.
Yeah.
I can't begrudge him. I loved 1917. I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I loved Parasite just as much. I've never seen a movie like that. So
it was a good year.
I'm as I have nothing against Parasites, but that was my favorite coming out of Telluride, and it held that position until I saw 1917. But even then, it was just like I'd be very I'd be very happy to see Parasite win, and it did. So nothing that's a great Best Picture winner. I'd say
loved
top
him.
10.
He
So
didn't even want to win. He wasn't chasing it at all.
Yeah, he wasn't
It was just great. Okay,
No,
Mark
it just
Johnson.
didn't happen
That's not
around him.
exaggerate. He was here for months. That's not exaggerate.
No, I know he worked it because he had to.
Lived here for 4 months.
He played the game. He played the game.
Yeah,
he
but
played the game, but he played the game his way.
Yeah,
he played the game his
Well,
way.
he was
himself.
Yeah.
My friend Chris Tapley, who is not writing us, I don't know why, but he usually texts us, but he's not today. But he said to me, he's like, he went back to Korea, and he was like, what the fuck was that? Like, it's like, what the hell? But I loved him.
You say we
because
smelled bad?
He didn't care. Like, he didn't care. He would have been happy anyway it was sliced. But
When
okay.
I met him at Telluride the day before I actually saw Parasite, and I was talking with him, and I had to preface, and I said, okay, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm seeing it tomorrow. And the first thing he said was, okay, so I'm going to tell you all of the secrets of the second and the third act of the movie right now.
I mean, honestly, I don't know if I've.
He's a fucking genius.
No, he is. I have to say about Parasite, like, I don't know that I've ever seen a better movie. Like, I think it's just, it wasn't probably my personal favorite. Like, I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was my personal favorite, but Parasite was, when I told people that I'd seen it, I was like, you're never going to see a movie better than this. Like, this is like the greatest movie ever made. So, I mean, that's probably hyperbole, but okay, Mark Johnson.
Mark.
What's your favorite
Hi.
year? I know what your least favorite year is. I already know.
Well, yeah, it was already mentioned with 2011,
Yeah,
and I'll just echo that because I mean the artist is fine, but for a movie of that caliber to sweep the way it did was just the most boring and frustrating year I've ever been a part of. So
That's it. Forget it.
yeah, that's my least. My favorite. Well, I'll start by saying I've been watching the Oscars since the 1988 race for Rain Man. That was when I first kind of started watching, and I started predicting him probably around 1996, and was pretty good at it and won a bunch of pools. But by 2007, that's when I started thinking, based on how I did on that year. First of all, I love that year, and No Country and There Will Be Blood are two of my all-time favorite movies now. And Daniel Day-Lewis, who's my favorite actor of all time, won, and Javier Bardem won for playing one of my favorite characters in the last, I don't know, 50 years. But the ladies, I picked those upsets both, and I think that's when I kind of started thinking, maybe I could do more with this. And then after that year, I started working on creating my own site, and that race kind of, I think, gave me the confidence.
Presents.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that gave me the
Mark likes movies.
So that race, not only did I love the whole year, I mean, there's so many great movies from the year, but I loved how that like every award was who I was rooting for, and it gave me the confidence to kind of do what I'm doing now, and eventually working with Clayton at AwardsCircuit. So that's probably my favorite year.
You're a pretty good predictor. I mean, you get it like down, man.
I beat Clayton every single year. He never remembers it. He never remembers it, and I have to remind him.
You didn't beat me 2 years ago.
Right, two
times.
times.
Went 21 for 24. You did not.
2 times. 2 years ago, you beat me finally. But
and
that
I
was it.
I usually kick his ass in nominations.
No, that's where I beat the site every year, and I point it out every year because you guys forget that. But
you have to go if you want to win.
Every year I lead the site.
If you want to win your Oscar pool, go with Mark or Marshall. Like those two will get you the win big time, because people like me and Nathan. I mean Nathaniel.
Me too.
Good old Nathan.
Who is Nathan? Me and Nathaniel.
Hot dog guy.
And we get to and Matt, like we get too emotionally involved. Like we can't be trusted. But like,
but advocacy has its place too.
I know it's true, but like we don't care as much. Like we're not as invested in our ultimate score.
I want to just speak for myself and say I am very invested in my score. And
I get emotionally involved.
Oh no! Believe me, Michael. Do I take emotion out of it when it comes down to it?
You are the king of objectivity here.
No, he is not.
I'm not during the season. When it comes to my picks, I say, fuck it, it's not happening. I'm going with the choice I don't want to go with.
All right, you can include that if you want, but if you really want to do it, don't pay attention to me or Nathaniel. We are emotional.
I just had to settle that. I had to make sure I said that.
Okay, fine. But I'm just saying, like Mark is really good at and Marshall, both of them are really good at just straight up predictions. I tend to get emotionally involved, and I'm sorry.
I have to speak up for us, Sasha. I have to speak up for us, because if people didn't get emotionally involved, if they didn't get emotionally involved, then we would have everybody only predicting foreordained things, and then we would never have surprises that were worthy because people hadn't been talking about them.
Which is why I beat Mark all the time.
Never.
Never.
2 years.
Never.
I got 19 out of 20.
Seriously,
acting nominees, man.
One time.
You can seriously go back to the Wayback Machine, and you can look at my first year doing the Oscars in 2000. You can find Nat in my message board, like there back then. Like
that's awesome.
you and I have been doing it so long that
you'll find me there too.
Yeah, you were there too, Erik. We were like doing it for so long, like we've long.
It's been 20 fucking years now.
No, I know what I'm saying is.
What the fuck?
So long that like we don't care that much about our prediction score. We care more about like how it turns out. So if you want to like follow, and Erik has to be included in this. If you want to like, if you want to get, win all your money in your Oscar pool, don't follow me or Nathaniel or Erik. You got to go with Mark or Marshall, people who are really like good.
Clayton hates this so much.
I like talking with the
I remind him every year too, and he forgets every year. It's hilarious. Every year I say, I led again. Did you see?
I'm sorry, but
nothing. Like no memory.
So
yeah. Okay. So David Poland, what's your favorite Oscar year and your least favorite Oscar year?
I definitely have no favorite Oscar year. I
thought it was going to be like 1931 or something.
No, I've always. I mean, I like the Oscars. I think that it's all fun. It's all interesting, and there are movies that I feel like I'm connected to more. But it's very personal after a while. I've been doing this a long time, and it became very, very personal. Where I have relationships with some of the people in every award season in different levels. People I've supported, people I feel like I've helped whip through, people I've fight with, people who lie to me, people who don't lie to me. So it's very.
Who lied to you?
Everybody lies to me.
Like who? Give me an example.
Everybody who has a vested interest in where things are going at some point comes up to me, lies every year.
Or...
Every publicist, every studio executive. I mean, it's the nature of the beast because they have everything. All politics are local, so everybody, like you guys, have personal preferences. I mean, the most hated year for me the worst win ever is Driving Miss Daisy, but that's for my reason.
Jessica Tandy did not live that extraordinary life for you to say that.
Well, but that movie,
she's dead.
Oh my God, I love Jessica Tandy. I hated that movie. But,
1982 was Driving Miss Daisy versus what? Like what?
Oh, 89.
89. Born the 4th of July.
Born on the 4th of July.
That was the year Do the Right Thing was not even nominated.
And Do the Right Thing was nominated.
I personally love Glory.
Glory and Do the Right Thing should have been there.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Glory fan, but so the crash year, unlike you guys who have been forgiving, even though it's very painful for you, I will say I think 2005, the crash year, blowback year. Homophobia absolutely was a huge part of it at the Academy. I don't know, who knows what the actual balance of the voting at the end was, but I think that there is zero question in my mind that there was pushback against Brokeback Mountain being the representative of what the Academy Award stood for, and that it was the last year, I think, actually, where there was this kind of clear-ist thing where people did not want that movie to win. And they voted for Crash.
I know. Why though?
It had support. There's no question. It had support with the actors or whatever. But a lot of it was about Brokeback being the gay movie and it being a moment and people not wanting that to happen in this town.
But
and
I don't understand why. Why not?
Because they're homophobic. People. I mean, the thing is, the Academy is very liberal, always has been. But you still see all these people who have been working forever and ever. They made Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and they still say Schwartz when they're making a joke in the room. They still make a comment about women's asses as they walk by or whatever.
By the way, is Yiddish for black person.
It's literally black in
yeah.
No, it isn't even in just actual Eastern European language. Schwartz means the word black. So, but it's still considered a derogatory thing to say. So, it's a certain kind
people
of.
know that the majority of it's assumed that the majority of Academy, at least back then, was Jewish.
Well, and I'd say the Academy majority is still
white
Jewish.
male.
It's still.
That's a whole other thing. I do think that to me the most important year in terms of this change that everybody's talking about with different specific movies was the switch to 10 films being nominated for Best Picture in 2009 or 2008. Because what that did is it expanded the base from which people were working. Because in the past, it was all this kind of very specific studio-driven, financially driven things. I've said this stat a million times, but before the expansion for 30 years, the number one or number two grosser won every year except for one.
Yeah.
Right.
Since the expansion, not a single year has one of the top two films
No,
won.
isn't that weird? That's so weird.
Well, I think the reason is because there's, unlike what people expected, and unlike the Dark Knight obsession that people had and wanting to get bigger pictures in, the Academy, white men and all, and even straight white men, actually like these other pictures and actually do embrace these other pictures. And I think that, things. I do think that the year of La La Land and what do we call it? Moonlight, the great Moonlight. Moonlight's great. People love Moonlight, absolutely. But a lot of that was anti La La Land. There was definitely a push against La La Land throughout the media that made it embarrassing for people to
But La
vote.
La Land was a negative downer, like Moonlight wasn't.
Listen,
No, I don't
Well, I
think.
don't know how you come up
the
with
election.
I think if Hillary Clinton had won, La La Land
Yes.
would have won.
Yes,
I don't think you're right. I
Yes,
think people
that is
actually.
true.
I think I'm right.
it swung. It swung right then.
There was a political push against La La Land,
never
saying it was
believe
an
otherwise.
embarrassing film to vote for because it was too frivolous, and that went on for months.
But it would not have been frivolous had Hillary won, because
Yeah.
the mood would have been the same as Obama,
Right.
and it would have been like, cool,
The
everything's
artist.
awesome and we're happy. But no,
Yep.
the election changed that, and it
Mhm.
changed the mood of the voters.
My mom, who doesn't pay
I said it that
attention-
night.
Maybe they
I said
just,
it
like,
that
were
Oscar.
better.
I agree
Yeah.
with that, but I also think fundamentally, and this has to be said, I love La La Land. Damien Chazelle is one of my
I
favorite
love La La Land.
because of First Man, but
First Man,
Moonlight's better.
No.
Sorry, but it is.
But that's not really ever the point, and you know that.
No,
from all
I
these years
know,
of
but
watching it.
if it's me and I'm voting,
Better is not
I know,
always
but
the issue.
ask yourself, what are you going to vote for? Like, to me,
People would have voted for La La Land had the people not attacked La La Land and said you shouldn't vote for it because it's embarrassing to vote
I
for this
agree
movie.
with you that that's how
Which
it
was
went,
said in
yeah.
the New York Times, the LA Times, the trades.
No,
everybody
I
was writing
get
the
it.
same story.
I know. Believe me, the producer was writing me hostile emails. He was very angry about how. it was
Then
all-
moving forward to Parasite, I mean, Parasite,
But it's
the
still
edge I
Moonlight's
got.
a better movie. Moonlight's a better movie. I'm
So
sorry.
what does that have to
Mark.
do with anything?
I mean, they're both great.
It's a better movie.
Sasha, I'm not finished.
They are both
It's not,
great.
but it's not. If you look at the history, we've all said there are 2 or 3 movies that fit what we love and we think it's the best, and not a lot else. So the idea that somehow that's what's the thing that, in the case where it was right, it's good, it's true, and all the other cases it's false is kind of bullshit.
No, I get that. In fact, when I've sort of reevaluated, I predicted Moonlight. I'm proud of that prediction. Marshall called me on my way home from the Academy because I'd left the Oscars before Moonlight won.
I'll never
And he
forget
called
that.
me and he's
Yeah.
like, Moonlight won. And I said, what? Are you kidding me? Because I predicted it. But I predicted it because I could feel that groundswell of change of opinion. But
yeah.
So I actually never ever check my predictions again after I make them because I don't really care. I truly don't care what my
no, I know,
result is
but we
at
had
all.
run polls and we kept seeing.
And then
it.
from so do we. We do Gurus of Gold, but Parasite.
But
then this year,
I've never been in Goobers of Gold, so I wouldn't know.
Well, I haven't been in charge of it for the last couple of years, so maybe you should be in it.
I'm in it.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Mark,
kidding.
you're in
Yeah,
it.
fucking
I'm in
Mark
it.
is.
But
really
Parasite,
Because I'm good at this.
He
Because
should
I'm
be.
good at this shit.
But
But
the
Parasite,
thing
as
is that
good as
ultimately, I'm sorry to have to say it. I love La La Land. I think Damien Chazelle's a genius. I understand that La La Land probably should have won Best Picture, given
it's not a should have. There's no
just
should
like
have.
1917 should have won, given its
Well,
precursor status. But Moonlight is an epic. It's this masterpiece. Moonlight.
Why
Like, I
can't
feel
we
like-
all just accept that Best Director is like now seen as like kind of like a Best Picture Part 2, and you're rewarding 2 movies, and we can all just get along?
And that's
Well, it's a
thing
different
about the
mindset.
Preferential
Anyway, my point
ballot.
about Parasite is that Parasite also benefited from the story, the narrative, and ultimately there was no narrative for 1917 because it was late in the game and they weren't really pushing a narrative, and that made Parasite, which people love Bong Joon-ho personally and otherwise, they love the film, they engaged the film, it was promoted very effectively, even though it didn't do as much box office, and it ultimately became what I kept on
It's a
hearing
huge
from
box
people.
office hit.
Huh?
It's a huge box office hit.
Only in the context of it, not in the context of other movies. I mean, it was the 5th or 6th highest grossing of the movie. I mean, everything is context in that regard. Okay. But my point is that there was the narrative of Parasite that was the right movie and that it was the right time and all these things, much more interesting to Academy voters, including old white straight men, than any of the other narratives, which never really presented last year effectively. So I think that is a lot to do with why Parasite won. I'm happy it won, but I don't think it was just like some moment where the Academy came to its senses. I don't think that actually
I
happens.
agree with you. I think that when it comes to the preferential ballot, you can assume.
Right. I don't think it has anything to do with the preferential ballot at all. But that's
okay.
We
Fine.
disagree on that.
I love the preferential ballot because now we get the split more often, which I personally think is more healthy for the Oscars.
But we have no idea why we're getting the
Agreed.
preferential ballot. We have no idea whether the preferential ballot changes that at all.
Let me just tell you.
We only know that they
back,
changed.
That's not true. If you look back in history, from the time that the preferential ballot was in place until Going My Way, which was 1943, Michael?
44.
Was it Going My Way?
44.
1943. That was the first year that they reduced it to 5. If you look back at those films and you look back at those wins, which I have done, you will see that there's more likely to split than not. And once
But that's 1943. The world has changed so dramatically in every way. including
Yeah,
Oscar.
but you're comparing two different voting systems, though. You need
Yes.
one that has 50% plus one. The other one you could win as low as 20%. So yes.
All I'm saying is that from 1944 to 2008, when they had 5 Best Picture and 5 Best Director, picture and director tended to be conjoined. And
Right.
that with the preferential ballot, they tend to split. And that's the way it is.
But the other thing that changed was you had 10 Best Picture nominees,
Well,
which
that's
changes the fact that you have one that some people think is better directed. If people are not idiots, they can differentiate. When you only have the 5 movies, it tends to be more of a group think.
Right.
When you
Just
have
put
10
the sound
movies, all of a sudden it
categories
spreads
together
out
so
everything.
That's true. I mean, it should be said that Academy voters, as a rule, like to reward all of the Best Picture nominees. They will, if given the opportunity, vote for the film that is nominated for Best Picture over the film that isn't. It's just the way that they work. Every so often, a movie like, Alice in Wonderland or some movie that isn't nominated for Best Picture will win Oscars. But in general, they like to spread the wealth of the best. So if you have 10 Best Picture nominees or 9, you're going to have a much more split up. You're not going to have a sweep like you had with 5. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
In the end, it's a flawed
Who else?
system.
Who has not gone yet?
Yeah, we're moving through. We got to go to Michael now. He's next. But David, did you do your worst year yet?
He doesn't
have one.
I don't have a worst year, really. I mean, every year is the worst year. Every year is the best year. There are moments that are horrifying about every year. There are moments that are great about every year. Yeah. And it's unfortunately the machinery, I think, has become overwhelming in the last 5 years, 6 years in particular, since Ms. Hudson took over at the Academy, and they no longer actually enforce any rules. So it's kind of a giant free-for-all now that's become overwhelmed by the publicists.
Every year's the worst year. That's like from Out of Office Space.
We have 4 more people to go. So the next person, Michael.
In like 6 more minutes.
6 minutes.
Sorry, Michael, what's your favorite Oscar year and your least favorite Oscar year?
Well, first of all, I do want to say that all you guys are gave some really good feedback on what you guys like and what you don't like. And I just I admire you guys for your emotionalism to loving movies. And I mean, Sasha and I talk about movies a lot. And so I just want to say that you guys have varying differing opinions about everything. Some of you guys are very critical than the other ones. And I've told Sasha this a lot of times. I just watch the movies. I don't get too critical. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. There are a lot of films that you guys mentioned that I did not like. I won't get into that. But there are some films you guys mentioned that I do like. My favorite year for me, I think, is the Gladiator year, only because it came out very early in the year, and it's the kind of old-fashioned big epic films that they used to award back in the 50s and early 60s. And it hadn't been a film made like that in many years because those films fell out of favor in the late 60s. So this film comes out, even though it's digitally created in certain scenes, it still impacted me because of the performances. Russell Crowe, I told Sasha this when it first came out, Russell Crowe is going to win Best Actor.
And he also told me that Gladiator was going to win Best Picture.
And I told her this as soon as that movie came out, it's going to win. No questions asked. It's
he also said Crash was going to win, by the way.
And I predicted Crash, and I said that's going to win too, but I won't get into that. And I just love the fact that it just had really great performances from from Joaquin Phoenix, Joaquin and Russell Crowe. I thought it was just a fantastic film, and it deserved the Oscar that it won for Best Picture. Now, my least favorite, that's a lot of I don't really have a least favorite year, but I do have to say that what has disappointed me over the last few years at the Oscars, which puts a downer on the Oscars for me, is that people get too political in their speeches. If you go on the internet and watch Oscar ceremonies from the 50s and 60s, there was a graciousness about accepting their awards. They were so gracious and they didn't get into all this stuff. And I want to watch the Oscars. I just want to sit down, watch the show, watch my favorite actors win Oscars, my favorite film win Best Picture. And that's that. I don't care about your political affiliations. And I think that has sort of hardened me with the Oscars. I still will watch them, but when it gets into that whole political rhetoric, I get tuned out. And that's the one thing about the Oscars that have disappointed me over the past few years, especially the year that Patricia Arquette won. That she deserved it, but the speech she gave, the whole thing, I just said, no, I can't do this.
Michael doesn't like that shit, man.
I don't like that. I just want to see you win. I just want to see you be gracious, get on the stage for your 2 minutes and then get off the stage. You can say all that stuff behind the scenes in front of the media, but not during the show. And it kind of,
you better hope Erik never wins an Oscar.
What's that?
You better hope Erik never wins an Oscar.
No. But other than that, if I had to pick my worst year, I'd have to say Titanic year, because the best reviewed film was LA Confidential. It was the best film that year, but because of the popularity of Titanic, it won. LA Confidential didn't have a chance because of the money that was being made for Hollywood and for that movie.
I get that.
LA Confidential was the best reviewed, it won everything that year except Best Picture. And I don't think it won Golden Globe either, but it won every critic's choice. And I remember Sasha telling me a long time ago, a film winning critics' choices awards doesn't necessarily mean it's going to win Best Picture. That's always it's like a given, but it was the best reviewed film of that year of '97. So I would say that was probably my least favorite year. I wanted LA Competition.
Honestly, I think Titanic is like the greatest film ever made and the worst film ever made. It's both at the same time.
It's a love-hate film because I like the last half of the film when it hits the iceberg. That's the favorite part of the film. The first part of the film was the bad acting and
Billy Zane.
There's a reason why he didn't get nominated for screenplay.
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's the screenplay is very infantile, but you can't deny the whole sinking and all that is incredible.
No, it is great to watch.
It's cinematic.
Listen,
yes, yeah,
dude,
definitely.
He should have gotten a floaty, man. Like that to me is the film's fatal flaw. There's no reason why the guy should not have gotten either shared the floaty with her or found another
story though.
The door is the least problem of that movie.
Yeah.
Everyone has always made that the talking point.
I don't like it though. It bugs me.
In 2000, I went on E and I said, "With God as my witness, Gladiator will not win Best Picture." I do remember that result.
I know. I love you, David, because you also said Avatar would win, and I was like, "No way, Hurt Locker's."
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, I thought Hurt Locker,
so now we have.
We thought Hurt Locker wouldn't be nominated even.
We're about to get kicked out, I think, right?
I was right about that. Okay, Clayton Davis, you're up.
I think I said I don't really have a worst year. From a historian standpoint, I love 1976, the Rocky year. But to my point I was making earlier with Dave Poland about
the year, by the way, that Network lost.
Yeah,
and all the President's Men.
That's also arguably maybe the best Oscar Best Picture lineup.
That's pretty good.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Except for Rocky.
Oh, Rocky's great.
Rocky's great.
It is,
but
Rocky has
much like the point I was trying to make before about Oscars getting a snapshot of the year. While everyone hates the Green Book year, I'm going to quote my late big brother, who used to say this to me all the time about people. He says, "Show me who you are and I have to believe you." And Green Book is so snapshot of where we are that year as a country, just split. And you know what's funny? In comparison to the King's Speech over Social Network, Crash over Brokeback, there is no consensus number 2 that everyone's like, it was supposed to be this one. Like, you'll get 50 different answers from people, which I think is very, which I think feeds into the narrative of the Oscars of just being subjective, and why I love Nathaniel's passion for the Oscars, and I have that same passion. I've always tried to really just separate myself from it because I feel like my heart would get broken too often, you know, if I let myself get invested like that.
Yep.
But the Green Book year, like, listen, like, and while Moonlight means the world to me in terms of its win, first over quality over quantity, and but it means something to me just for different reasons beyond other people. It means something to me because it wasn't like 12 Years a Slave. It wasn't about slavery and a black film winning. It was about a black story, you know, and, you know, being gay was a part of it. But it's also the same reason why the year Green Book won, I was heavily invested in If Beale Street Could Talk, because that was just about the black love experience. And then Roma was, those 2 films are going to be head and shoulders over anything that year for me, but they don't pan out in the end. But because it didn't win, they probably mean more to me now than they would be any other time. And Parasite, listen, I love Parasite, and it wasn't my number 1 of the year, but I'm glad it won, because I'm glad, I think Roma paved the way for it in a lot of ways. And like a lot of movies in history paved the way, like Brokeback, I think paved the way for Moonlight somewhere down the line. 12 Years a Slave also probably paved that as well. You know, everything kind of feeds another. And then if you get into like, and then you have to look bigger than that, and acting losses. Like, I'll never understand how Al Pacino got checked over Denzel Washington. Don't try to convince me otherwise, and say that, you know, the politics of the Oscars don't really matter, and how they just go with their boys and girls that they know and love, you know, no matter what the cost is. And then Denzel's 2 Oscar wins, I feel like, are so brazenly representative of his career. Like, I don't think of those 2 performances when I think of Denzel Washington.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, why did he win for Training Day? Like,
because they needed to make it up. And we get into makeup time. And Nathaniel, I'm going to quote you. You always talk about the makeup Oscar like thing. Like, it's okay to not win an Oscar. It is one of the greatest things that people cannot understand. If like Cary Grant doesn't win an Oscar, or is Cary Grant? Yeah, Cary didn't win an Oscar.
He never won.
Peter O'Toole.
Cary Grant doesn't win an Oscar, and like, it's okay, kind of like,
it's still Cary Grant.
It's still Cary Grant.
He's gonna live forever.
Yeah, I remember Nathaniel talking really heavily about like you thought Leo would never win when he went for the rep, like during like when it was coming up to that time, because you were like, he just may not. And I think it's okay that people don't win. Like, if Amy Adams doesn't win an Oscar one day, listen, Deborah Kerr kicks ass, man. Like, and you know, like, it's okay. I think we just all
That's
need
what
to, like,
honoraries are for.
It's not okay.
Yes,
with Amy.
exactly. Honoraries mean something. We can do
Honoraries are okay for a makeup, but there's no reason to do a makeup during a competition.
Yeah, that's why I hate
one
Paul
thing.
Newman's win so much, because it came the year after his honorary. And it was
I
just
like that idea. I'd also like to say that
Spike too.
Yeah.
Nathaniel has been, I will concur with you that I don't think Denzel Washington's best performance is Training Day by a long shot.
Yeah.
It's like insane and sad to think of his career that way.
Well,
But I
he won
also
for
like-
Glory too.
He won
Right?
for
He
Glory
should have
too.
won for
Glory
Malcolm
support.
Right,
X.
right. But I mean, does his work in Training Day really encapsulate his
No.
But that's not what it's there for. That's
Yeah.
not how
No,
it works
I
either.
know.
You know,
right? I get
it's an
you.
honor to be nominated. It's an honor to win. It doesn't matter what for in the end.
Sure, I get
You know,
that.
think
but
Marty shouldn't have won for Departed. You know, that wasn't the movie that encapsulated his greatest work. I
Right.
love
Yep.
The Departed, but it's not his best work by a long
no,
shot.
I get
And it's
that.
a rarity that it happens.
I
Yeah.
also like to say we've got 2 more people left, but I just like to quickly nod to Nathaniel with his ongoing conversation of category fraud, which I've sort of fought against a little bit, but I think he has a point, which is that a lot of times performances that are supposed to be lead or put into supporting, like Jim Broadbent in Iris, or Jennifer Connelly in A Beautiful Mind, like these parts should actually be lead
Civic
roles.
candor.
But they're put into supporting, and once they're put into supporting, they win, because who can compete in a supporting category?
It's not a fair fight. It's
Yeah.
not a fair fight.
Right.
If you have a
Come
whole
on, Diane
movie
Ladd.
to
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why Sarah Paulson sits today with no Oscar nomination.
That's right.
Right,
She should
and
easily
that's
have 2 already.
But
Yeah.
on the flip side of that, you also get a Beatrice Straight who can win for 5 minutes. So I do think that there are times and elements where they pay attention to the impact more than the time, but I would be against like a percentage or a time limit rule.
But it's impossible. You know,
No, it is
even like
impossible.
Regina King won. She was really not the supporting actress. That was really an ensemble piece.
She totally was.
And you know,
She was totally the
She was
supporter.
totally supporting.
But I like that. I
Of
want to
who?
say that I like that Nathaniel.
The 2 leads.
Of everybody.
The 2 leads in the movie.
Yeah,
They
I'm
were-
just
but that's
gonna
not a
we're
lead
gonna
movie.
we're
I'm
gonna
just
close
saying
that.
that-
We're gonna shut that down, David.
That's why it's an argument. But that's why it's an argument because it's
Yeah,
real.
and Eric, to your Beatrice Straight thing, she also doesn't go against any lead performances in her lineup.
That's
Yes.
right.
So be able
And
to-
she would have lost if she had.
Of
Yeah.
course, of course.
But I just like the idea of understanding what a supporting role is versus, and I often sort of chafe against Nathaniel's thesis on this because I
Yeah.
do feel like
Write a book,
when they win an
Nathaniel.
Oscar, they win an Oscar, but I like it in this discussion of yes, it's right. Supporting is supposed to be supporting. Lead is supposed to be lead. It's not supposed to be game the system so you win an Oscar. So
Al Pacino, The Godfather. Thank you.
Well,
But
what
it
do you
also
think
works the
about?
other way.
I get it. I get it. I do. I understand why they do it.
I
But
get
they're also
it.
supporting actors who won't take supporting actor slots and will only do lead. That's been an issue. That
Oh
Meryl
yeah,
Streep.
it's definitely
you
the
know,
choice of them now, but it still doesn't.
There are a lot
mean
of choices
it's not
going
less
on,
Crappy.
and
No, but
deciding
I just
who's
like
what.
that he considered it. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Okay,
what do you think
Joey.
about? What do you think about Meryl Streep and Kramer versus Kramer? What did she deserve the supporting, or was she more the lead?
I think she's supporting.
She's supporting in that, I think.
That's fair. I
She
think it's
disappears
fair.
for like
But Viola
2/3
Davis
of
is
the
not
movie.
supporting, and
Yeah.
I mean, is Viola
Fences.
Davis really
Listen,
supporting actress?
No,
Fences?
Viola Davis is
Your
not
fences,
supporting.
no.
There are
Mahershala
definitely
Ali
leading
is
role.
not supporting.
There are definitely straddlers to it. Like, listen, Talia Shire and Rocky, I think, is one of the definitive straddlers of like Oscar history. She got nominated in lead, and I don't know if I have a definitive answer on whether
It's fine if they're a straddler. It's fine.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
When there's an argument, to be
But
made,
when you
Rooney
are-
Mara and Carol's not an argument.
Yeah. She is a protagonist. You cannot be a supporting player when you are the protagonist.
And
And
Mahershala Ali
Jim
in Green Book.
Broadbent in Iris is a protagonist. He's
Yes.
a lead character. He had no
Yeah.
business being a support. Jennifer Connelly in A Beautiful Mind. Like these are lead characters.
Elisa
What are
Vikander too. It's also point of view that the story is being told from. That you still get put in. Supporting.
Guys, I need to either make someone the host or we have to wrap up. So I don't know. which
Okay,
way
wait. We have two more. We have.
I'm
Joey
gonna
and
make
John.
Nathaniel. You're the host. You're in charge.
Oh.
I know.
What do I do?
No,
What do I
but no,
do?
you don't want me in charge because I'm gonna be like, we gotta end because we're like way over time.
That's why I'm putting you in charge.
Oh, you're too late.
Bye, everyone. Love you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
See you, Clayton.
Clayton.
Enjoy the rest of the
Clayton.
weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for hosting.
So who are the
Gotta
two?
go.
Who are the
We have
two?
Joey and Shadon both.
Joey.
Shadon already
No,
went.
Shadon already went.
Shadon.
So Joey, we're gonna end
Joey
with
is
Joey.
super
Favorite
drunk, so this is
year-
gonna be funny as hell.
Yeah, he's
favorite
been-
year and least favorite.
And it looks
year.
like he's on a 56K modem, so this will be fun.
Oh.
Yeah, that froze at the middle finger. So
Favorite and least favorite.
love it.
Oh.
See?
Oh,
What's
no.
your favorite? And
Did
your
What did I
really
say?
lose him?
All this build up to Joey, Eddie crashes.
Girl is frozen.
Amazing.
She's frozen too. Mm-hmm.
do we
Let's
have
just
Joey or
let's assume his the answer. It looks like he's about to break
I-
his thumb.
nice because
I've used my powers against Joey and he is destroyed.
Going on?
Frozen in stone.
Let's assume
I
that
don't-
his answer was the same as everyone else's because everyone has
I-
cited the same
I think-
years.
I think so. Yeah, you know, when you have people going early with like these obvious answers, it's including myself.
Joey.
there-
is
There's Joey.
Oh, great, Joey's back.
The weird thing. Shut the. Oh my god. The weird thing is, anytime they're doing construction on the building behind my house, the internet is shit, and for some reason they're doing it now. I would have to say favorite year, and I'm actually surprised that no one has ever said this yet, is the Chicago year.
Well,
gateway into the Oscars was because I was obsessed with Madonna, because my dad loved Madonna, because he was obsessed that she was a fearless woman. My dad loves Madonna. And so that's how I got into Evita, which I did a production of Evita. I was the whitest Shay in the world. I don't care. I was mad. I was mad that we did not get nominated for an Oscar. So that led to Chicago winning. Saw that movie 8 times in the theater. I was a musical theater major when that movie came
I love
He's
it.
frozen again.
I get it. I can totally relate because that happens to me all the
I
time.
mean, that same year it was Chicago. It was Nicole Far From Heaven. It was
Poor Joey. There you go.
There.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna make a collage of like all your Frozen frames, Joey, for tonight.
I'm
No.
excited to hear about your gay dad.
No, I mean, it was 2002. Nicole Kidman won her Oscar. Julianne Moore, my favorite performance of her career, Far From Heaven, Obsession. It was like the gayest year possible for me. So that was my favorite year. My least favorite year, I will say, not to echo what everyone has been saying, but Brokeback Mountain. I remember distinctly I was in college. I was on the phone with Megan in the kitchen, having a conversation with her, assuming Brokeback Mountain was going to win. I distinctly remember looking at the TV, and when Jack Nicholson said that Crash won, there was a pause on the TV, and Megan said there was a pause when she was like, the best picture is Crash, and there was a silence, and Megan just goes, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I have to go." And I hung up the phone. It was
we can't
so
end
bad.
on such a sad note. We can't. So
That's so
to
sad.
say
That's
goodbye.
why I reversed it too. So
to say goodbye, since we're way over time, if we could go, I'm just going to call on each person. If we could just say our favorite Best Picture winner of all time, because that was a question from the chats earlier that we didn't answer. From somebody named Colton asked, what was each of our favorite Best Picture winner ever? So Matt.
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, baby.
Megan.
Oh shit. How can I say that? Annie Hall.
Yes.
Yay.
Yay.
Michael Schwartz.
Chicago.
Eric Anderson.
Moonlight.
Yeah.
Jalal.
Oh, it's Silence of the Lambs.
Oh.
Marshall.
Dang it! Was it Megan said Annie Hall and Jalal just said Silence of the Lambs, so I'm just gonna have to go with No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Yeah, the other Michael.
West Side
Gray.
Story.
Oh, you stole mine. That's also mine.
Oh, cool. I love it.
David.
I don't have a real answer, but Amadeus maybe. I don't have one favorite anything, but Amadeus probably.
David, you're such a cynic. I love it.
Amadeus.
It's not even cynical. It's that I love it so much.
Amadeus is a great fucking pick.
Joey.
Yeah.
Or is he frozen?
I have to say Silence of the Lambs too. Sorry. There we go.
Shadan.
West Side Story.
Oh, we have 3 votes for West Side Story. I love it.
What?
I mean,
And
that was my
Sasha.
runner-up, so we could say 3.5.
It'll always be The Departed.
The Departed.
Alas, yes.
Departed.
Thanks to everyone.
The Departed.
The
Thank you
Departed.
guys. It's been so great.
And thanks to everybody who's watching.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
And
Bye.
we'll talk soon next time. Thank you guys. It's been really, really fun. So
And Joey will still be frozen.